across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Apparently, good evening, welcome. Friday night with a whale until, do you think the scarf looks all right with this, or do you think I...
It's a cravat, isn't it?
No. Oh, am I? Oh, covering my microphone. I think maybe I'll take it off for the moment. Probably
What, the
better.
microphone?
No, the scarf. Could you go down slightly?
Not while we're on air.
No, just a little bit. Your head's nearly the same height as mine. I don't like it. Yeah.
Like Prince Philip used to be with the Queen.
Just go down a bit. Anyway, welcome to the James Whale Show Unleashed. Tonight we'll be talking to one of Donald Trump's main assistants, Seb Gorka, in a moment. Let me just, before I do anything, if you want to call us, let's get the calls in early tonight, and then we can talk to you on the air about things that are worrying you. Numbers on the screen, 0344 499 1000.
I'm just putting our movie online in a minute. Please bear with me.
Okay. And also, if you're easily offended, triggered, or you have got one of these problems, if you're one of these pillocks that gets offended by people like me, then off, okay?
Yeah, because no pillocks are welcome.
No.
Generally, any pillock.
If you're one of these idiots that believes that putting your gender, whatever it is, on a form is a good idea, I don't want you as a viewer or a listener either. Yeah. And if you're one of these people who go on about, oh, well, we can't do that. This world is on the brink of destruction. No. And you worry about whether you should be... There are two genders on this show. And if that offends you, I'll give you Ofcom's number. Okay? But any company that gives you a gender thing has to be exposed. Oh, sugar. Have I not put my gender on the form?
No, haven't you?
Oh, you haven't either, I'm being told.
I did.
What are our pronouns?
I'm a Fisher, them.
Anyway, 0344 499 1000. If you're easily upset, this is not the programme for you. Good evening. Okay, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, however you want to pronounce it, has claimed cuts have saved a staggering $115 billion. That's $700 per taxpayer. Yeah. Meanwhile, here...
We pay that in interest every year just on our loan. We pay £100 billion.
In Britain, we are supporting over 1 million foreigners.
Tennis lessons.
On benefits and aims to save $5 billion a year.
It's not even a month's interest.
No.
There's no point.
What can we learn from President Trump? Well, I think we can probably learn quite a lot. If you're one of these who go, oh, the world's completely ruined, Donald Trump is president, I suggest you go and watch the BBC or listen to the BBC. I don't need you around here. Because quite frankly, the world has never been in a more interesting situation where actually we're being told the truth rather than what politicians want to tell us. And here's another truth. If we carry on paying the amount of money we're paying to scumbags coming illegally to this country, then we're all going to be in it in about 15 years, apparently, for over £150,000 a year per person in this country we owe. Well, when are we going to pay that off?
I think it means.
Well, luckily I'm not going to be around to pay it off, but, you know, when are you going to pay it off? This is a ridiculous situation.
It's not viable.
The other thing is, of course, that we are heading to catastrophe and thinking it'll all be fine because America will come in and protect us. Well, why the hell should they?
Look what happened last time. They take their time and they took all our money off us. Look at us now.
Seb, are you still loving us? That's the thing I'm worried about, mate.
I think you can tell from my accent I have a warm spot in my heart for old Blighty, and especially for the vocabulary. We don't use the word pillock enough, as you just did. And I know the president does too. The president has a very special place in his heart for Great Britain. So yeah, this special relationship is special, at least for some in America.
How are we, or how have we got ourselves into this situation where, quite rightly, you guys in America, now you're in charge. What is your proper title? Deputy Assistant to President Trump or Assistant Intelligence Officer? What is your exact?
Yeah, it's a little complicated, James. I have a rank. I have a job description. So my rank is Deputy Assistant to the President. That's a politically commissioned officer of the President. And then my job is Senior Director for Counterterrorism. So I'm responsible for coordinating all counterterrorism in the National Security Council for the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz.
So you're like one of the top men in America, and I always have to do this to blow my own trumpet and remind people. Once we talked many years ago, and you said, you know, you inspired me to do what you went to America. I wish I had. You went to America, did a show like mine, and in America, talking programs are really popular, as is beginning to be noticed over here by things called podcasts, which is really speech radio. And as you know, in America, doing remarkably well. We're behind America by about 20 years in all ways. But I always like to, do you know, one of the guys working for the president at the moment in America went because he either didn't like me very much, had to leave the country, or wanted to do the same thing.
But he thought Trump was sort of similar to you, so he was used to that sort of thing. Yeah.
Trump could do a really good talk show, couldn't he?
He'd be a great stand-up, actually.
He did have an award-winning, record-breaking TV show for 14 years. Nobody stays at the top of the charts for 14 years, which he did with The Apprentice. But James, I don't think you're fishing for compliments, but yes, I listened to you as a kid. I love talk radio. I grew up on LBC. My mum always listened to Radio 4 when it was actually decent. I love talk radio. I got a national show when I left the White House the first time, but now I'm doing the job I've been waiting to do for about 25 years, and I'm living the dream, because we are killing jihadis left, right, and center, and we're making America safe again, and we're making the world a safer place thanks to President Trump.
How can we, people like us in the media, because our mainstream media is driven by a bunch of woke wallies, big pillocks, if you like, how can we make people realise that letting these extreme, and they're coming to this country in boatloads, hundreds every day, you know, and we put them in hotels, we give them free driving lessons, we give them a credit card, we give them food, and they're here not because they're interested in Britain, the British, or our culture. They're here because they want to get something off us. And yet, I will be described, having said this, as an extreme right-winger. And I'm worried, what do we do? How do we sort this problem out?
Well, I think it's very easy on one level, James. I mean, I grew up as the kid of Hungarian refugees in West London. And I went to Ealing Abbey to St. Benedict's on the 65 bus through Ealing Broadway. And there was one kid out of 600 who could actually prove he was English for more than 2 generations back. All my schoolmates were Irish, Italian, Pakistani, Indian, you name it. But we all saw ourselves as Brits. So you have to get back to that kind of love of country, wherever you came from, wherever your parents came from, you are British. And secondly, it goes to a deeper question. And I tell people, look, if you really want to understand what President Trump is doing, the most important speech he ever gave, in my opinion, and it has nothing to do with the fact, honest, that I had a hand in framing it, was back in 2017 in Warsaw, Poland. He's standing next to the statue of the Warsaw Uprising freedom fighter, this massive 20-foot bronze statue of a man coming literally out of the sewers to fight fascism. And near the end of the speech, which anyone can watch now on YouTube, he says the following: "The only question of the age is whether or not we in the West have the will to fight and defeat those who wish to destroy our civilization." James, it's the only question. Whether it's enemies on the outside, whether it's people we let into our country who are dismantling it, the question is, do we have the testicular fortitude to fight those who wish to destroy Western civilization? It's really that easy.
But your country does now, and we obviously don't have that. I mean, J.D. Vance took Keir Starmer around the back of the White House, and apparently, do you know what he said to him? Have you heard? You must know. Can you tell us what he said to him behind closed doors?
It was probably a version of the speech he gave openly in Europe and in Paris to say, come on, guys, if you love your country, act like it.
And the German guy cried, didn't he? Blubbered. He went, oh, he's told me off. Yeah, this is the type of politicians we've got running this country.
But hang on, what worries me, you don't have to go back in history very far. I'm an old bloke. I'm in my 70s. I was born after the Second World War, but
Only
you know,
just,
it was quite prevalent, of course, in discussions at the time. And while I was in school at a fairly young age, and I remember the problems that we did, and we nearly gave in to the Nazis on many occasions, and that is how the government seemed to be going here at the moment.
Well, look, you know the history as well as anyone. It was a man who was in the wilderness for more than a decade. It was Winston Churchill who warned us of the Nazi threat. There's a reason that one of the very first things President Trump did after the inauguration, as opposed to Obama and Biden, was to put Winston Churchill's bust back to the Oval Office, because these are the men who understand that there are always those who are prepared to destroy our civilization, whether it's the Third Reich, whether it's global jihadism, or whether it's those inside our countries who, for some reason of guilt complex or self-hatred, are trying to dismantle our countries. So it's up to the Brits. We've got MAGA, we've got America First here. You had Brexit in the UK. We're seeing this across Europe, where, you know, whether it's Prime Minister Maloney or whether it's Modi on the Indian subcontinent. People are starting to say enough is enough. We would like to have our countries back. Borders matter. Sovereignty matters.
Absolutely.
Our government aren't doing that. They're trashing our heroes. They took all their pictures out and put the head of communist parties in and pictures of themselves in. We're really in trouble in this country. But I think, do you think the Trump effect is having any effect on Keir Starmer? I think it might be a little bit, but probably not enough.
I've been talking to my British buddies in the last few days, and there are certain signs that could make us think that there's a little bit of a reawakening. But really, it's up to the British people. What was it? 17.5 million of you voted to be independent once more. Yeah. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, but they ignored it.
I'm concerned about. I'm glad that we have somebody like Nigel Farage in this country, because he is, in a way, our Donald Trump. But the more people I meet who are disparaging, I like your testicular quote, by the way, but I'll use that myself later. I actually am worried about those people who go, oh, Donald Trump's going to get us in so much trouble and so much, he is the one man. He might not have done the deal with Putin yet. But at least they're talking about it.
Got the ball rolling.
There has to be discussion. And if we don't sort this out, if we actually do get to a situation where Russia decide, well, they're going to come after the rest of Europe, and why on earth should America bother? Because it's not hurting them. And I'm worried that we are not taking this whole thing seriously enough. On the BBC, the whole time, it's all about what's happening in Gaza. Unfortunately, what is happening in the Ukraine is more serious to us, but nobody seems to understand that.
Will Trump put American troops in to help us? Because we can't do it without the Americans.
I think there are some who do understand. Look, as the child of those who escaped Hungary, I look at the NATO nations that are, on the eastern flank. I look at Poland, Hungary, the Baltic states. I think they get it. The question is, can they act as catalysts to help the rest of Europe understand the severity of the situation? And what President Trump is trying to do, he is so set on stopping the bloodshed, which is absolutely right. And the National Security Advisor, who, by the way, is the first ever Green Beret, the first ever Special Forces officer, retired officer to be in that position, he was so correct when he was at the peace talks in Saudi Arabia. And he said, this is a meat grinder, a meat grinder for young Ukrainians, a meat grinder for young Russians, and it needs to stop. And there's only one person on God's green earth who can bring that to fruition, and it's my big boss, President Trump.
About 1 million dead. I know you've got to go soon, but just one quick one, because you're in counterintelligence. What have you heard? You grew up near Heathrow. We've had this big explosion at the electricity plant. You're involved. Have you heard anything that you can tell us? Who's involved?
He's not going to tell us, is he?
Well, just cough if you give us a little. What do you?
I was discussing it with some British friends earlier today. I won't get ahead of the local authorities, but hopefully it's not connected to net zero. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, one last question
So
from
the Russians.
and that is this. You mentioned the Balkans. I was talking to a friend of mine who served out there last time round, and is very close to what's going on. He says the problems over there are incredibly dangerous at the moment. They're not making any news in this country at all.
That's where all the world wars start as well.
And how serious is this?
There are issues with that part of the world. I'll just say this, under the last 4 years, under the Biden administration, global jihadism has increased globally. That's why every single one of your viewers and listeners should say an extra prayer tonight to be grateful that President Trump understands that threat. And we have the most amazing team. We've killed at least 36 leading jihadis since we entered office just 6 weeks ago. So yes, there are lots of problem areas around the world, but at least America is back on the case. And the new, well, he's not the new sheriff, the old sheriff is back on his steed, and he's burnished his star and his badge, and his team is getting to work.
Is the Chagos deal toast? The Chagos?
No, we're going to talk about that next time because he's got to go. Seb, thank you very much indeed, mate. We'll talk soon.
Thanks,
and
Seb.
every time you come on the programme, you make me feel so much better. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
and thank the President as well. Seb Corker, why is it when people say we've got to rush on?
I just wanted to slip one in. He's a great comfort, though, isn't it? Great comfort to have him on.
Take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, welcome back. If you would like to join us, 03444991,000. One of the big questions, not what we were talking about with our relationship with America was said, but the other is, how are we going to pay for all these bloody people coming in these little boats? Why are we not just got the armed forces on the beach, the Navy in the sea? You're not coming into our country. And now if I say that, apparently I'm going to get a knock on the door from the police saying, you can't say that.
You've committed a non-crime.
Our capital city, London, is being run by a man who seems to have absolutely no interest in anyone other than those celebrating Ramadan, you know, and which isn't the culture of this country. If you have that culture, that's fine, you celebrate it.
It's the Church of England.
But trying to make it, all this thing of trying to take over this country by coming here, and and saying to me, come over, we'll put you in a lovely
40 grand a year.
hotel.
Every 100 costs 4 million a year.
Yeah.
And we get 200-300 a day.
Julian in London, you're on the air. Julian, good evening.
All right, I'll share it, James.
All right, man.
What can we do for you? Didn't hear a word he said then, did you?
I just guessed.
Oh,
I'd like to talk about the net zero.
go on.
I think it's a load of rubbish, really, because the UK is less than 1%.
So what would you do?
I wouldn't change it because...
Well, you've got to change it because the climate's changing.
But we're getting the largest icebergs, which we haven't had for years, which...
You don't know what you're talking
Where
about.
are the
do you? Thanks for your
icebergs?
call. Let's go to Heather, because I'll take anybody on the programme. Heather in Govan, you're on the air.
I haven't seen the iceberg.
Sebastian Cork isn't going to say anything about the substation.
What do you want to talk
fire.
about?
And
What are you
Donald
talking
Trump
about?
He's the best person
Yeah.
to deal with our country, because the way he was talking at the Congress in America to his American people, taking the piss out of our Prime Minister. Good on him, and we need somebody like Donald Trump and Nigel Farage running our country, because
Okay, all right.
we are getting pig sick.
All right. You make a good point, Heather. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, she used a rude word in there.
Did she?
She did, didn't you hear
No,
her?
what did she say? It's passion, isn't it? Passion.
Yeah, she was very passionate, I suppose. Very
right.
passionate
Fantastic.
indeed.
Fantastic.
Right, keep the calls coming. Stop being so lazy in there, otherwise I'll have to sack you during the show. Phil from Devon, thank you very much indeed for that. Jenny in Essex, sorry we didn't get to that. Now, let's do this. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind...
I love it when you do this.
What? I'm doing Shakespeare.
I know, that's what I love it. It's like John Gielgud's with him.
You know,
He's a trained actor.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Henry Bolton, OBE, former leader of UKIP,
I
joins
don't
us
remember
now.
that bit in it.
Henry, we'll come back to your calls in a moment. Don't worry, we will come back to them, and they will be good. Henry, what is wrong with Shakespeare?
Good evening, gents. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is wrong with Shakespeare. And I wish they'd leave him alone. You know, what this is about is that there is a movement that's actually been around for at least 4 years to decolonise William Shakespeare, whatever that means. How you decolonise an individual, I don't know. But what this is about is that there is a claim being made by these activists, these lunatics, in my view, that William Shakespeare's success as a playwright, as being the respected and regarded around the world as almost the father of the English language and the beauty and the creativity of the language. They're concerned because his success in that regard they see as being as supporting the ideology of white European supremacy.
Henry, who are these people? Where do we find them? Where can I confront them?
Well, I tell you what, you can find them in three places. One is Shakespeare's home. The people who run the visitor centre there and so on, they're part of it. The University of Sussex has a club called Decolonise Shakespeare, and the Globe Theatre in 2021 decided that it was going to decolonise William Shakespeare's plays because, again, of his success in feeding the, as they saw it, the white nationalist supremacy ideology.
Hang on.
Total and utter bloody rubbish.
Hang on there a minute. Guys, can you get one of these people as a guest next Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to undermine our heroes because that's the foundations of our country.
Yeah.
They do it with Churchill,
Ash,
with Nelson, with Dickens,
Yeah,
all
but
of them.
Ash, what they then do is then they say that we don't have a culture. There is no such thing as English or British culture. And they say that, when we say, well, hang on, because, I said the other day about this, that you can't decolonise the United Kingdom without colonising it with something else, a foreign culture. Yeah. And, we are told repeatedly, we've been told for the last few years that we don't have a culture. That's partly because all of these people want to ignore it, destroy it, dismantle it, paper over it, whatever. And then we're told, so we should welcome foreign cultures. I'm sorry, but this is cultural displacement. This is an attempt to remove the heritage and the history, the character and the spirit of this great country.
Well, we invented the modern Western world, with industry, with justice, the rule of law, the railways all over the world, the voting systems all over the world. It all comes from here. So how they can say that?
But Ash, apart from roads, railways, the Industrial Revolution, justice, education, healthcare, what did the British ever bring to us?
Slavery. That's what we're told.
We got rid of slavery.
We got rid of it.
We should be getting reparation for stopping all the rest of the world doing it. Sorry, I'm very passionate.
Calm down.
4,700 years of written records on this planet.
Yeah.
And for those 4,700 years, right from the beginning, slavery has been recorded. It took the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the British Empire 47 years to end it. We lost lives. We fought wars. We even went to war with the United States. Look, this is just a fabrication by activists who have got sorry little lives, who are, for some reason, want to blame the fantastic heritage of success and
why are we not doing something about this, Henry? Look, the problem
I'm trying. I mean, all one can do
is talk about it. I know, but there must be somebody that we can get round the neck and shake and say, for goodness sake, wake up. We are going to be a broken nation very soon because the gold-plated pensions of those people who work in the civil service are going to be unpayable in 15 years' time. There won't be enough money. And why they should get these pensions, I have no bloody idea. They're supposed to be civil servants.
Well, to be fair, these people in this particular case, James, they're not civil servants. They're people in universities. They're people sort of in the sort of theatrical sort of world. I say that in both senses the meaning.
I'm almost embarrassed to think of myself as a lovey.
But they're all cut from the same cloth, the civil servants, the students. So basically every institution's been infiltrated and we're left with these wet lettuces.
Yeah, I think they're just, I'm sorry to say it, they won't like it, but they're inadequate people. Look, there was a time when society had a way of dealing with them, and that was that we would, it would be made very clear to you that you were out of line and that you needed either to, you needed to toe the line or shut up. Now, people don't like that these days, but so what we do is we kowtow to the small minority, the noisy, insecure minority who are so in love with themselves and their own opinion they don't give a damn about greater society. I'm sorry, I'm ranting a bit because it makes me bloody angry.
I know. This is the right programme to come on to rant and be bloody angry, and you'll find our colleagues are beginning to pick up on it as well. But 40% is now apparently 40% of Gen Z, whatever the hell they are, say they want to quit work due to mental health problems. You should have grown up after the Second World War. That's what you should have done.
What was it like, man?
Well, it was pretty... I mean, we didn't have mental problems then. No. We had, you
had to get on with it.
We had different personalities. And who's going to pay for these bloody 40% of don't...
1 in 5 of working age are not even looking for work. 1 in 5.
Look, I mean, we've got huge problems. I learnt the other night, on Monday night, that 22% of people who leave education in Scotland are not expected to ever have a full-time job. 20% of those people, the remaining, 78%, who are likely to get a job, will be working in the public sector. And yes, you're right about this mental... there are two things I think about this, about the benefits and the sort of the personal independence allowance and so on, and with the benefits through mental health. I think one is valid, and that is that society, the government, bureaucracy, local government, all of these people who actually produce the square root of nothing except for paperwork and forms on computers, these people are putting huge amounts of stress and strain on families who are just trying to make ends meet and get a meal on the table, get their kids to school, and just live their life. And their lives are becoming more and more complex and complicated and difficult to navigate.
But is it our fault? I mean, do you remember the poll tax problems? Why isn't the people who are working kicking up a fuss about it?
Well, because
they're weak.
they're all the sort of people we've just been talking about.
But there's people like us. What's happened to society? It was only 30 years ago.
Calm down.
Sorry,
the problem is this. What we need to... Hang on, Henry. What we need to do is cut back on these payments. First of all, we don't need to pay foreigners who don't want to come here, who come here illegally. Kick them out.
No driving lessons.
Put them on a barge or a boat, send them back to France. It's France's problem, not ours, or wherever they
Put them off by locking them up.
Hang on. Also, we need to cut back on the amount of money we're paying people. If people can afford to live a reasonable life and not work, then obviously we are paying far too much money. And apparently we'll be all in debt to well over a six-figure number in the not too distant future.
100 billion a year in just interest payments. And they go on about saving 6 billion.
No, it is in trillions.
Well,
but 100 billion
if you look, James, you've hit on a couple of things there. If you look, I don't have it in front of me, and I'm not that, I don't have a photographic memory, so forgive me. But if you look at the ethnic breakdown of those people who are claiming these independence benefits, the Brits are about they're a tiny proportion. Most of them are sort of Ghanaian, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Albanian, and so on. The Brits are a tiny proportion of it.
And we
but
paid
who's
the money
paying?
in.
Who's paying for it?
We paid the money in.
72% of Somalians are in social housing. I mean, eventually the system will break, and even if you need it, it won't be able to be afforded.
So James is right. What we've got to do is stop the payments to people who are not British nationals. If you're not a British national and you come here and you're on benefits, sorry, no, you don't.
Why should one of our veterans who fought to save us be sleeping on the street and some oik who came here illegally in a four-star hotel?
He doesn't like us.
I know. Well, look, we've got our priorities totally wrong. And there are a few politicians raising their heads who are sort of starting to be heard on this sort of thing. There's a few around. And Robert Jenrick, there's William Clouston of the SDP, who I'm a big fan of. And they've got policies and they sort of behind them, which is good. They're thinking politicians. They're listening. They're assessing. They're trying to make to take things forward.
There are a few, I would agree with you.
But they're a tiny minority.
And it's in all parties. I'm not just having a go at the government. The previous government of wet Wally Tories did flip all except complain about who was their leader. You know,
they let $1 million a year net.
Blair started the ball rolling.
Yeah,
and then Cameron and Osborne and Theresa May gave it a bloody great shove.
Yeah, but they still only had 50,000 a year coming in. We've now got $1 million since Boris Johnson, so something's happened in those 2 years.
Well, I mean, it's. We talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah,
look, there's a lack of vision, lack of leadership, lack of knowledge as to how to do these things. The people we've got governing us are not the right people. Yeah. You know, 95% of the people sitting in the House of Commons, in my view, absolutely shouldn't be anywhere near those green benches.
They're filling their boots, aren't they? They're filling their pockets.
And when we talk about the civil service, you know, the civil service will, if you give the civil service, and I've worked around the civil service, not as a member of the civil service, but very closely, intimately with the civil service in Whitehall for 20 or so years. And if you give them the right direction and the right leadership, they will respond, most of them. Yes, there are problems emerging, particularly in the Home Office. I don't deny that.
Why don't you become a member of Reform?
Well, because, James, if I'm honest, and I'm trying to stay out of this discussion about Reform as much as I can, but Reform has got, I think it's public knowledge, the approach of we've got to get into power and then we'll worry about the policies afterwards. I think that is entirely flawed.
Hasn't done Trump any harm.
Well, No, but Donald Trump is both chief executive and head of state and has various powers that a British prime minister will never have.
But that's how we're having to play it by our rules. And I think, there are people who want to go in, and the two who've been moaning, I don't want to talk to them anymore. They just moan. They're trying to ruin reform. And I think I've known Nigel a long, long time. And I know that he'd be quite happy to get out of politics and do something else. But he feels he should be there. He'd have been making a fortune in America doing a talk show now. But you could be a useful asset in the way you talk out. You're an OBE.
That's better than your one.
That's better than mine. And you worked for a while bringing countries together. And I want to move on. I don't want you to have to answer all those questions. I want to ask you this. And I asked Seb Gorka, who's one of Trump's main advisors.
Assistant Deputy.
At the moment, there are problems happening in the Balkans. Now, it's not reported in any of our news whatsoever.
No.
We don't have it on the mainstream media. But what happens in the Balkans over past histories has spread to the rest of the European continent. Why are we not taking it seriously? Or am I wrong?
I think you're right in both counts, i.e. that whatever happens to the Balkans, I'm not saying that it necessarily spreads to the rest of Europe, but it certainly creates waves across Europe of all sorts through history. And you're also right about the fact that nobody's paying any attention to it. Yes, it's serious. I mean, we've got the Serbs saber rattling in Kosovo.
Yep.
We've got Albanian organised crime rife across the whole region.
Yep.
We've got creating instability. We've got instability in Serbia itself, with massive protests there against the government. And in Kosovo, it is only because there is an international force still in Kosovo. In Bosnia. I was in Bosnia for 96 and through into 97, so some time ago. The military have been there since the NATO military since 96 in Bosnia, and we still have not left because we cannot. Because if we do, the place will fall apart into bloodshed again. Now, this has been something that Europe has neglected, and I think at some point, if it doesn't turn its attention to it, it will neglect it to its cost. And at the moment, all eyes are on Ukraine. But we should not underestimate also President Putin's ability to stir up events in the Balkans, because it might suit him at a particular time in whatever he's trying to do with Ukraine, whether it's in negotiations with America or whether it's in the actual war fighting. So it's massively important what's going on in the Balkans, and everybody seems to think of it as a piece of history. It's not. It's alive, and it's in danger of spilling over again. Whilst everybody's eyes are on other parts of the world. So no, it's concerning. And
why have neither of our governments done anything about it? Why, when the Tories were in, have we allowed our armed forces to go down to one of the lowest levels ever?
Well, because it's been, we had the peace dividend, and I go back to Tony Blair and Cameron and Osborne. They thought that all their Christmases had come at once. All of a sudden, they've thought that they could reduce the defence budget from about 7.2% all the way down to 3%.
There's no military men in charge anymore. That is one of the main problems. It's civil services.
And also Tony Blair politicised the senior levels of the military. Tony Blair started making very political appointments to the chiefs of the services and to the chief of the defence staff. So the chief of the defence staff, the chief of the general staff, the army, the naval staff, and the air force, and they all became very politicised under Tony Blair, and that's continued. The one exception was Patrick Sanders, who was very good, but then sort of got sort of moved aside. But when he sort of started expressing his concerns about exactly this and about the need to have robust armed forces whilst Russia was playing its games. So we have got politicians, guys, who, as I say, are simply not up to the job. If you want leadership, vote for leadership. Don't vote for some guy who's going to give you a whole load of promises and has got nothing behind it. Because if he's got nothing behind it, probably there is.
So who would you vote for?
Hang on. Then we have to stop doing things like, at this moment in time, I'm not saying forever, but at this moment in time, we cannot afford to give billions away in aid to other countries because we're having to borrow the money
like
to
Syria.
give them.
Ridiculous.
We are not able to give people the kind of huge amounts of money in the pensions that they are expecting in the future because no bugger wants to go to bloody work. So we are in a situation here where we're saying, oh yeah, have all this money, this bunch of losers come in to government, give teachers a rise, give
train drivers 75 grand. Our GDP per capita is lower than some African states. We're like third world, yet we don't realise that in government.
But guys, we also look. I mean, I believe that. I mean, we've got to look after the environment. Sure, of course we have. But we also are destroying our economy and our prospects, our manufacturing base through this religious zealotry of net zero. Now, fine. I'm all for renewable energy. I'm all for sustainable energy. I've been arguing about it for a long time. Successive governments have failed to do it. What about nuclear? We've just not gone down that route. So we are spending. The government has allocated, as I understand it, £170 billion for net zero over the years.
Yep.
Now, we are, and we all know, I don't need to talk about it, the pressure that is putting us all under, whether it's the armed forces, whether it's the single parent trying to put a meal on the table for our children, whatever it is. We're all struggling. We're all paying for it as a result. We've got the highest energy prices just about in the world.
Henry,
and what we've got to do, guys, is we've got to change that. We've got to row back on that because all we're doing is all we can do is afford to buy cheap plastic tat from China, which goes into landfills. It's all made of plastic anyway. We're destroying the environment in that way.
Henry,
so let's build our own production.
I have to take a break. Now, Henry, will you do me a favour? Will you go and get yourself a nice cup of tea, sit down, and just try and relax a bit, okay?
You've wound me up, guys.
There isn't time to relax.
Sorry. I am sorry. We'll talk to you again at some point in the future. Thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you. We'll take a break and talking to you with your calls right after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Let's get to the heart of it. What you want to say, what you think about what's going on at the moment. You could text us at
Triple two. Text the word talk any message, and more importantly, ring us 0344 499 1000.
Yeah, but we also like to take messages if you want to record a message.
On the same number, 0344 499 1000. On the WhatsApp voice message, it comes through to our Panasonic answer machine.
Right, here's one from Catherine. And Catherine says, the moral of Britain is in toilet with the constant lying of the government and the injustice taking place to the British citizen living amongst rubbish, rats and vermin in the community. I think she's talking about Birmingham.
We're used to it there.
Yeah. The list goes on, let alone the threat of World War III in the background. Leadership is what is needed to turn the country around. Australia stops the boats and processes true asylum seekers offshore. It's very straightforward, not sure why it is so difficult. Could do it on the Isle of Wight.
Well, of course, they don't want to do it. They know they could solve it, but they don't because they're in the pay of the WEF. I think that's where it's coming from.
Well, I hope somebody realises that if they don't do it fairly soon, there will be trouble. Michelle is in Liverpool. Michelle, you're on the air. Talk to the nation. Talk to the world.
Right, thank you.
Away you
It'll
go.
have to be better than that, Michelle, or you won't be on very long.
Oh, no, I will. Don't worry, I'll speak. But I'll be good.
Well, when are you going to speak?
Could you do it now?
Now, hello.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, she turns on a new voice when she goes on.
She sounds great.
Michelle, what can we do for you?
Hi.
Turn the listen. Stop. What? Hey. Listen to me. Listen.
Calm down.
Shut her off. Tell her to turn the other things off. And if you don't, I'm going to sack you during the show as well. You're fired. You're fired, and you're fired.
You're on probation.
Paula in Halifax. Hello, Paula.
I hope I'm not fired.
Well, no, you're okay at the moment, Paula, but keep it good. What do you want to say?
Evening, guys.
Hi.
Evening.
Well, there was a couple of things really. The disability living allowance PIP.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak to you about that. I mean, I'm severely disabled. I've got a lot of neurological problems as well as physical and mental. And then also the care. Obviously, you know about my mum.
But people in your situation, Paula, will be looked after. I've told you that.
And you
before.
don't get enough because there's people taking the mick out of it. Once we sort that out, you'll be able to...
I totally agree with that. I mean, there's people where my sister lives. They smoke weed every day and all day. And
she doesn't have to. But
well, they're bored. They've got no work. I mean, you get free cars like Audis, BMWs. I know someone who got.
He has a free car.
I know someone who got diagnosed with cancer. They got an Audi. They said they didn't want it, but they said it'd be crazy to turn it down. You get free servicing, free tyres, and this is like 1 in 8 cars on the road now. Are these cars?
Well, I'm
billions.
But Paula, let me. You ring me every week, and I want to reassure you that in your situation with you and your mum. You will be looked after, okay? There is no chance. You don't need to worry. Thanks, Paula. Let's talk back to Michelle. We've got to sort it out, hopefully. Michelle.
I'm just on to call about domestic and international affairs, really.
Really? What affairs are those?
So, to start with altogether, I don't even know where to start.
Well, when you know where to start, call me back. Thank you. Let's talk to Paul in South Wales. Paul, you're on the air.
Hi guys, yeah, I'd just like to speak about this appalling government we got in charge at the moment. I wish Starmer would take a bit of Trump's advice. Basically, the welfare cuts and things like that. He needs a pair of bollocks, I'm sorry to swear, but...
Sorry, who needs a pair?
Keir Starmer.
Starmer. Well, yeah, unfortunately...
There's nothing can be done. It's too late.
I'm not sure that can ever be sorted.
No, I know, but, he's making welfare cuts, he's picking on the disabled. Yes, there's shirkers out there, of course there are, right? They need to sort them out. But it's the foreigners they're letting in, it's the asylum seekers, we could save billions by stopping all these people. But he's picking on the poor, he's picking on the...
So why did so many people vote for him? I mean,
I can't understand it.
Labour has been very powerful and successful in Wales... And I have no idea why. I mean, my mother was Welsh from the valleys.
They say dogs are racist now in Wales, I heard.
They talk, my mum was born in a place in the valleys called Rumney.
Rhymney.
And I spent quite a lot of my time in Wales, and I used to do a show in Wales, funnily enough. And I remember I wound somebody up so much that, look, the Welsh language, great, it's fine, lovely, but it's never going to be a world-dominating language. Why are you wasting so much money in Wales on everything in Welsh when so few people speak it?
In North Wales,
and they got well, no, it's not. No, it's everywhere. Every form you pick up, every road sign has to be in dual language.
Well, in all respect, I don't speak a lot of Welsh. I played rugby, of course. We're pretty bad at it at the moment, but no, it's the language of...
but do you know how much money that is costing the economy?
Well, also interpreters generally. We should scrap that. France won't do that. If you're foreign, you get your own interpreter to translate everything. That costs us billions a year. There's so many things we could have a Doge on here and get rid and save.
Of course. Of course, but my point being is we've got to stop spending all this money on these foreigners, right? They're overtaking the country.
But every day we say this.
Send them back.
Well, nobody has got the gumption to do it.
They're cowards.
And we're still saying, we've now got in Kent an ex-military base that apparently isn't up to spec to hold the criminals who've broken into this country.
Oh, because they see barbed wire on the end and it gives them PTSD, and we've got to look after, put them in a nice hotel instead.
No, you don't.
Tennis lessons.
You stick them on something and send them back. Yeah. And now I will be in some paper tomorrow as that James Whale and that scruffy urchin with him.
It's a magnet for them to come. Why wouldn't you come if you get all this? You'd be mad not to.
I'm not a racist.
No, neither am I. Please include me in that, because Starmer is a coward and a bully.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul, good to talk. Thank you very much indeed.
Michelle's back, look. Third time.
Why is Michelle back?
Third time lucky. Third time lucky.
You do it. I can't be bothered with it.
Right, are you ready, Michelle? Michelle, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
I can't hear you. Are you ready?
I'm very much ready.
Right, away you go.
Go on then.
Go on then.
Thanks, Michelle. Next time I tell you not to put anybody back on, do what I say. Take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, welcome back. I'm Unleashed and obviously won't be here for the whole show, but I will be here for 20 minutes or so, the other side of the news at 11, taking some more calls, texts and various other ways of communicating. James, this is very important, by the way. James Ash, just wait now for what will be a never-ending stream of callers whinging about what they cannot do work-wise instead of what they can do. And I'm afraid it's just one big contrick on us hard-pressed taxpayers. Presumably, when they are at home, they do housework, cooking, DIY, gardening. They are so capable of doing some kind of work. Please don't just accept calls from moaning PIP claimants. They're work-shy scroungers, says Elsie.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with you. We can't know that because we don't know what the people are. But a lot of people could do something.
Of course they could.
And unfortunately, the illegals coming into our country do all the things, will do anything, and probably less money. So
1 in 5 of the people can work are not even looking for work. 20%. That's unbelievable.
And we're supposed to pay for them.
Well, we do pay for them.
You and we're all paying for them. If you pay tax,
That's why we're paying the highest tax rate for 80 years.
Don't forget, you can leave a message if you don't want to talk to me, and some people don't.
Why is that?
I've no idea, but here's Pete the Mole.
Pete the Mole. Press
This
play.
country goes to war and all our soldiers are abroad. What is going to happen with that, what I think could be a fifth column army of all those single men of fighting age who are put up in hotels strategically around the country? It'll be an ideal time for them to try and take over, won't it? This country has to be very, very careful from now on. Very careful, because something sinister's going on.
Well, we're taking Hamas terrorists. They're coming over and doing TikToks.
Yeah. And listen, although it may well not have anything to do with a terrorist attack, look what just happened at Heathrow Airport. And if you were going away somewhere, you're probably delayed because it's been closed down for a day. It may well be that Heathrow had been trying to save some money or been trying
It's very
to become
suspicious the way it
greener.
exploded like that, though.
But,
Very suspicious.
you know, they really should. Heathrow, as a business, should have had better backup for an airport.
Well, they did
that
have good
size.
backup, but because of net zero, they had this thing that worked in tandem with the grid, so of course it failed. I saw Richard Tice talking. Unbelievable. Net zero again has caused it.
Yeah.
Well, not caused it, but not solving it.
Martin is in Kent. Martin, are you sniffing all the time? Can you stop that?
Sorry, man. Hi, Marty.
Is that me?
I don't know. Is your name Martin?
You should know.
Yeah, it's Martin. Hello. Right. I'm actually on Universal Credit at the moment.
Yeah.
Why?
I've worked. Well, you'll probably laugh at this. I would say anxiety and depression and PTSD.
Really? You got it? Is there nothing you haven't got?
I've worked for 46 years, James, in construction.
Right.
Well, at least you've paid in, but is there nothing you can do at home, like a call centre sort of job or something? Is there nothing you can do?
At the moment, I've gone through 2 therapies, psychiatric. I'm looking at a third.
You could pick up the phone, ring in a very successful phone-in program on TV and radio, and complain about it. And if you could do that, and you're together enough to do that, it seems to me you could do a lot else.
James, I'm not complaining. I'm explaining. There is a difference.
There is.
You know.
But it's coming across to me as complaining. But go on.
Yeah, but the trauma I've been through is extremely...
Listen, what I'm going to do, because I want to give you a chance, is I'm going to come back to you after the news, okay? So if you stay there, we will arrange for you to be the first caller on and explain to me where I've got it wrong after the news. Because I hear that music in my head. And then
I can't hear anything, it's just in your head.
Then I get shouted at by 10.
But you can't have that much anxiety if his phone, James Wales.
8, 7, 6, 2, news.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Did that commercial say there is a chocolate prime minister?
Yeah, you can buy a lint. We're not allowed to talk about that, though.
Why not?
You're not allowed to make reference to advertisements.
Oh, God. The adverts are not as good as they were when I was doing them.
No, well, they don't have them, like Silk Cut and Benson and Edges.
No.
Hoffmeister Bear.
But why are we in the news? That wasn't an advert. That was in the news.
Oh, was it? Oh,
why are we talking in the news about
lint chocolate?
Why do you keep doing that?
No, because we can talk about it.
It is.
We can talk about it. They've got a shop, isn't it? Great news. Amazing news.
Not really. Who would want to eat the Prime Minister? Not me.
His voice coach.
Anyway, listen, let's move on. Right, we're talking to Martin. He's got everything, and he's worried about his pips and whether or not they're going to be cut back. Is that more or less the story, Martin?
I've got everything. Oh, God, that is so funny.
Well, you did reel off a long list.
No, I mean, you reeled off a long list just a minute ago, talking about chocolates and this, that, and the other. And I can remember back in the 70s and 80s, watching like the Grand Prix and stuff like that, but they used to advertise cigarettes and alcohol, and they were banned because of the effect they might have on children. And then I look at what's happening now with the LGBT community.
Well, they're not. We don't have them as listeners or viewers because they're a bunch of wallies.
It's quite the hypocrisy. I mean, I talked to Kevin O'Sullivan a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm bored with your call, Martin. Let's get to something that's interesting.
Right. Okay. So I've been through significant trauma over 30 years.
Yeah, lots of us have, Martin.
Yes, but this one. Let's put it this way: it's not just one. There's multiple, but this one.
But what is the point of this call? Is it you're worried about losing your financial pips, or?
I don't get pips. I don't get pips.
So what are you worried about?
I'm on £390 a month. But I own my own house. So this left-wing government is going to try and take my own house.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
I know.
You know?
Which so many people bloody voted for them.
I never voted for
Nor
them.
did I.
They mainly voted against the Tories because they'd messed up so bad, and that's how they got in. Only 1 in 5 of the electorate voted for this lot.
But listen, we're not making. This is the interesting point, Martin. This is what you should be thinking about. We in this country do not have enough workers to actually pay the tax to pay what we owe or what we are paying out, and we are going to get to a situation where you know people won't be able to get anything hardly.
Well, 100 billion is just our interest here, and look at interest rates now. When we took it out, it was 1%. It's now.
Right. To the fair of you, I totally agree. And I'm not a socialist or communist or anything like that, but I do actually believe this country needs to fall to start again because it has gone beyond repair.
You can't do that. If that's negative, and if you think we need to fall to start again, I am not surprised you're in the situation you're in. We cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to lose, and that is why Britain is so great. We're run by a bunch of
You were right the first time.
Yeah, I think I probably was.
I totally agree with that.
You know, we have got to be much tougher than we are. And the amount of people who snivel and cry about the way Trump is doing what he's doing in America and the rest of the world make me realise that there is a real worry that if the people who I think are the majority actually...
James, can I butt in?
Yeah.
I admire you.
Really?
I admire you. I admire the.
It's lucky I said yes, isn't it?
And what you're facing and what you're going through.
Well, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you.
But not everyone's you. People have got their limits, and I've reached mine.
Yeah. Well, you've got to go over it, mate.
I'm not what you would call it. I'm not what you would call a pussy.
Listen, I've nearly reached mine. I'll tell you. I've had some pretty bad times. People listen to my podcast that goes out every week called Tales of the Whales.
My wife lied to me for 28 years. My daughter's not mine.
Yeah. Well, that, you know. Yeah,
so that's what gave you the mental health problem. So you found out your daughter wasn't yours after 28 years?
What happened when she told you? What happened when she told you?
She wasn't here. She left saying I was mad because I accused her of it. She left saying I was mad and admitted I was right 6 months later. And to think that I was mad for 28 years...
Why, if you thought that for 28 years, did you stay with her?
Because she saved my life. I was in the gang in Brixton.
It still doesn't give you the right to give up, okay?
I wouldn't say I've given up. I would say I've given up. But what I'm saying is, I think I've always been sceptical of therapy, and some of it has worked. And I need more. Yeah. But I can't go to work because I'm non-stop thinking about what's happened. It's 24/7 in my brain.
How old are you?
I'm 62. I've worked for 46 years.
I don't know what I can say to that, Martin, except that you have decided, and I know where you are. I've been there myself. And you get to a situation where you think, I can't put up with this anymore. I really can't. Yeah. Today, before I left home, I didn't think I'd come to work today because I was feeling down. I was feeling not well. But as soon as I get here, I feel fine. No, that puts me back. Yeah. But you have to try and rise above it. And you know, but you brought up this person in the back of your mind, knowing they weren't yours. Yeah. But you managed to do it, so there's a bit of positivity around that.
But the thing is, James, since I've been aware of it, I've been non-stop talking about it.
So you mean you didn't know for 28 years? You thought it was your biological daughter, and then you found out?
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah.
Well, no, it's even worse than that. It turns out it's my best mate who's dead.
And do you talk to your daughter still?
It's not his daughter.
No, she cut off. She cut off.
Oh, that's a shame.
She knew. She was 27. She was 27 years old when they walked out. It wasn't a child.
Did your best friend know all the whole time as well that it was his daughter and not yours?
Yeah. Look. I've spent 4 years reflecting on this, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Right. Time now. That's all finished. Sadly, he's dead. You've been lied to for a while, but now you have to move. Listen. Now you have to move on. You give him indigestion.
You're giving him indigestion. But 28 years, it's a long time, but you're 61. It's not even half of your life. This is now the rest of your life ahead, and you can make it good.
But I need the therapy because...
I can't hear him. Oh, hang on, it's me.
I need the therapy because I keep on talking about it to people like you that I've never met, to people at work that I've never met.
Yeah, but I'm not here to be your therapist, otherwise I'm going to send you a bill.
He's not qualified.
I've still got a sense of humour, which is a sign of recovery.
That's good.
Okay, listen, I wish you the best, my friend, and it's easy to get into a dark and dismal place. I realise that, and I've been there. The last few weeks I've been there. Listen to my podcast. I'll tell you more. It's called Tales of the Whales. I do one every week, and it comes out on podcast platforms.
It must be difficult. I mean, you'd still love for the child
over the weekend and Monday.
There's a crazy thing going on in his mind.
Yeah. Thanks, Martin. Jackie in London, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Jack.
Hello. To talk about political prisoners, please.
Yeah, go on.
Yes, I'd like to talk about Stephen Yaxley Leonard, and he's...
Who's he?
Tommy Robinson.
Thank you very much indeed. We don't want to really talk about that. It's a matter of a court case. It's been wound up today, and it would be wrong for us to discuss it on the programme, in my view. Thank you very much. Lee.
Hi, all right, Joe.
And they will be trying to get on every single programme they can get on.
It is an interesting thing, but we don't really know enough about that.
You know, and it's been a court case, been in front of
It does seem like he's a political prisoner, but we don't.
Sorry, Lee. Just goes to show we'll let anybody on.
Yeah. Even Ken.
No, we don't. He's busy outside Parliament. Yes, Lee, in Manchester, what can we do for you?
Basically, have you seen the one with David Lammy that's come out?
What one?
Which one?
Where he's with the benefits, and he said that one of his family members shouldn't be on benefits.
Yeah.
Thing is, that at this stage of the whole thing, you don't know whether that's fake.
Well, he said it, Lammy.
Did he say it, or was it AI?
Well, I mean, it's not...
We don't know, do we?
Well...
Be honest, we don't know.
I think it's been reported that he said it. But he's the one who's he's paying UNRWA. He says Syria are a great government, giving them, and they're chopping off Christians' heads. This is the guy we're talking about, stuffing his face with chicken, going on about that. Thick as hell on Mastermind. I mean, this is our foreign secretary.
Yeah, he's an idiot. I love Plank of the Week. I absolutely love
And if Lammy...
His Mastermind.
If Lammy was on Pick of the Week every week, he'd win it.
Plank of the Week.
Did I say wank?
Pick of the Week.
I did not.
No,
I said plank, didn't I?
You didn't say wank.
No, he said prick.
Anyway, thank you for that. Let's talk to Keith.
James. Hello, James. All
yes,
right?
Keith. What can we do for you?
Well, big thank you for being on and keeping it up. Don't stop, please. Talk.
I
TV.
try and keep it on. Up.
Right. Well, all I want to say is that this benefit situation, the first thing that needs to happen, and we need to stop calling it benefits, is actually government wages. They are getting paid, these people, for being at home and doing nothing, but they still have a life. So in this government wages, why don't the government say to them, as per John Major did in 1990, we'll give you some sort of job. You need to attend this job. If you don't, you will then lose your benefits, right? So the thing is, if you ring the DVLA, the Department of Work and Pensions, or HMRC, you are on the phone for hours. You can't get nothing done.
Yeah.
You could send these benefit people an email saying, right, I want you to ring these 20 people today and ask them this question or tell them this. And then everybody can get straight through.
Couldn't agree more.
They're doing a job.
Couldn't agree more.
But our hands are tied by the civil servants, the judiciary, the unions.
Couldn't agree with you more. Best idea, Keith. And the fact is, we could have our streets cleaned, we could have our verges cut, we could have all of this done that they don't do anymore. I agree with you.
James, one point here. In the 1990s, when James Ware, it should have been James Ware, but it was John Major. In the 1990s, when John Major put this forward, he was amazed that suddenly 50% of these people on benefits signed off because they got a job. They were working in the black web. They were getting paid cash and topping it up with benefits. And they signed off. 50% of these benefit people stopped claiming because they're frauding the government. Let's do it again now, like John Major did.
Well done, Keith. Thank you very much indeed. Good call. Bex in Essex. Hello, Bex. You're on the air.
Hi, James and Ash. Hope you're doing okay.
Yeah. Is that a Rebecca Bex or a...
Bex will do. That'll be fine.
Okay.
So I was a bit scared of calling because I don't know, James, what you're going to think about this. So with the whole Gen Z not wanting to work kind of thing, I'm not normally a fan of Gen Z, to be honest, because I'm a millennial. But I do see their point. I feel like they have no incentive to work because job wages is low.
Because they're a bunch of lazy bastards who spend most of their lives on their computers.
And we give them the money, that's why. Don't give them the incentive to not work. Make them starve and then they've got to get a job.
When we were young, you couldn't do that.
When you was in your era, because obviously you're in the same era as my mum, you could buy a house for like 30 grand.
But in that, hang on.
Much less than that.
Hang on. I bought my first house for £6,000. My wage was £25 a week. So it's all relative. So don't start that.
No, but that's
rubbish.
still a lot less.
Well, okay, I'll grant you that's relative, but it's still like the inflation of how much houses like these ain't going to.
Well, that's your fault. People like you. It's your fault.
Why is it
too lazy? Don't bloody work. Get 2, 3 jobs.
I'm a business owner. I pay taxes. I'm a business owner.
Well, then stop feeling sorry for these people who don't work, who don't contribute, who are in a situation and say things like you said to me, when you bought a house, but it was very cheap. Yeah, but I earned probably less than a lot of people.
No, but it's only about 4 times what you earn then. It's now 10, 12 times.
When AI inevitably take a lot of the jobs, where are they going to work? What are they going to do? What's going to happen?
So what's going to happen then? Well, where's the money going to come to support people?
Eventually, we won't be any money.
Because you'll be taxed. Your businesses will be taxed out of existence.
I think we need to bring back the workhouse. Now, before everyone goes mad, it won't be that bad. It'll be like a Premier Inn, and, you know, they'll work from home and it'll be all right, not like the old days.
Ignore him.
Bad idea. But
Ignore him.
When AI takes jobs, you can't then blame Gen Z or millennials or whoever.
They said that about Industrial Revolution. They said that about the internet. You know, they can.
Life is never going to be as easy, and people blame my generation for having an easy time. We did not have an easy time.
I don't blame your generation. My mum is your generation, and I know
you said that the second time.
It's very hurtful for him when you say that.
But I do think that I feel like people of your generation aren't fully on the same level of what's going on.
Trust me, we are.
And I'm probably not either, because I was brought up in a different time to them as well. I just think blaming them and not blaming.
I'm blaming the 40% of people who think it's fine. I'm also blaming the weakness of our politicians for giving foreign criminals and the people you see coming out of the rubber boats having something put around their shoulders, and they are criminals.
It's a victim culture we live in, and everyone's milking the system.
100% with that. Now, if the government spent money on supporting Gen Z's mental health, let's say, rather than these illegal people coming to our country every day, then we might actually get somewhere.
Yeah,
but we're not going to always.
Bex, I agree with you. Let's finish Friends, and hope that some decent people get into politics in the not too distant future.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bex. Chris in Lincolnshire. Hello, Chris.
Hello, James.
Yeah.
It's just quickly. I'm 50-year-old this year, and the problem we've had with our benefit. Thank you. The problem we've had with the benefit system has been going on for years, mate. I've known people that have not worked, either parents, for like 30 years and claim benefits and have children. Then their children go on to do the same thing as them, and everyone's always got someone else to blame. And the saddest thing is there's people out there genuinely who need this PIP to help them through their daily struggles, their daily life, and they genuinely need it. But the problem in this country is, for years, there's so many ways to play the system. People will claim that they're a single parent and have their partner living with them and get a discount on their rent. Council tax reduction. The bill is going to forever go up because we have an entitled generation that's coming through now that believe that everything should be handed to them.
But there's no money. There's not going to be any money to hand it to them. And this is the thing that nobody seems to be prepared to talk about. Well, there are loads, like we've spoken about the threat of the Balkans and everything else. There are loads of things nobody seems to be prepared to talk about. And what the mainstream media, that won't be here for much longer, you won't have your BBCs and your ITVs. It'll all come from independent production companies, and it'll all come on platforms like ours. And, you know, we might actually then be able to get some truth. But at the moment, nobody's talking about the fact we can't carry on the way we are. We cannot carry on paying out this enormous amount of money and not bringing any in.
And we get lied to by the government, and the media back them up. They're meant to be there to stop, to tell us the truth. Ofcom should shut the BBC down like they shut down Russia Today and the Press TV. That's what their job is.
They are a very one-sided organisation, the BBC. Watching them over the last couple of years has become more obvious to me that they always tend to favour one political party over the other.
Terrorists, they support terrorism. They pay terrorists.
They support so many people that they shouldn't support, but the main crux with the benefits and the PIP is
they're more than that. They're infiltrated.
If we don't get some of this tough love back on these people, to say, because as I said, there's so many people that can work. I've worked with people that are blind. I've worked with people that have no mobility. I've worked with people that have got multiple sclerosis. I've also worked within the care industry, so I can see the differences. It seems like everybody else is always to blame except themselves.
The victim culture.
Somebody else's fault why they can't work. There's always some reason why they can't work. But
Chris, I'm trying to wind you up, for God's sake.
Take the hint, Chris.
Take the hint, Chris. I've got people in both ears saying, wind up, it's time to go, and you're getting, you know.
Couldn't you hear
Chris,
them, Chris?
Good to talk to you. Thank you. Another good call. I'm going to go, leave you to it. Andrew Eborn's going to come in. And
you all right, though? It was good, wasn't it?
Keep your calls coming, 0344 499 1000. This is my running order.
We'll try Michelle for a fourth time, see if she can...
No, I wouldn't bother. And I'll hopefully be back on Friday night. In the meantime...
Nice one.
Enjoy the break.
UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Do you want your phone back?
Give me my phone.
James Wales has not left the building.
For God's sake.
Right, so Michelle, we're trying her for a fourth time. Maybe she'll be better without James Wales, who's still here. Don't forget, Andrew Eborn's here, of course. I put the chair
Good to see you, James. Take care.
See you, my lovely man.
Take care. Nice to
see you later, man. See you next
time.
James Wales coming back next week, same time. And he did very well tonight. He might stay even a bit longer next week, so we'll see.
Yeah, don't worry, love. Aston's lovely anyway.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He's really. And you can turn that one off now. That's James Wales, Mike. So, Michelle, this is your fourth time on air tonight because you keep getting.
Well, I don't know what's gone on.
I don't know either, but we're going to try it for a fourth time now. So, what's on your mind, man? Let's get it on the radio.
Yeah, okay. It'll be good. Don't worry. It won't be nasty.
Go for it, Michelle.
Wait, no, hold on. We'll wait till Ash is going to introduce you.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Michelle in Liverpool. Michelle.
Hiya.
Hi, yeah, what's up, man? What's up, Michelle? You're on air with Ash and Andrew.
How are you doing?
We're all right, man. So, what's up? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about a few international and domestic affairs, So
start with one of them, please.
Yeah, so, being Heathrow, to start with, the fires in Heathrow.
Yeah. Go on then, talk about that.
Yeah, full-time luckier. Full-time luckier.
Go for your fires.
Going that way.
What do you want to say about the fires? Appalling, isn't it?
Go on, James. Come back for a minute.
He's gone now.
He's gone now.
What about the Heathrow electrical plant explosion?
Okay, so I'd like to speak about the fire.
We know. We've established that.
I know, but...
So begin to. Go on. Michelle?
I know, so I'd like to speak about the fire.
We know that. We've got to the bottom that you want to talk about that, so do that.
What would you like to say, Michelle?
What's upset me about it is the fact that nothing's getting done ever, domestically or internationally.
Well, no, apparently
so
flights
we basically let that happen.
We don't know what's happened exactly there. We don't know. The counter-terrorist squad were investigating. We're trying to find out. But, flights have already begun.
Yeah, I get that. But the thing is, it starts from from the top and filters down to the bottom, doesn't it?
No, you're so right. I mean, the problem is this,
really
Michelle.
Has been taken into consideration for our security in the country.
Yeah.
And then you come to the welfare cuts and all taxes that we're paying and everything else. Where's the money going?
No, you're absolutely right.
Where's the money going?
Billions is being wasted.
And the problem is this, Michelle, isn't it? The problem is this, is that you have one incident which is relatively small, can close the busiest airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. We weren't prepared, were we?
Not really, no. Not at all.
Thanks, Michelle. Anyway, let's go to Kim. That was better the fourth time. Kim in Wiltshire.
Hello, Kim.
Kim.
Hello.
Hi, Kim.
Hello. Hi. I like listening to your show, but over the last 2 weeks, I'm really struggling. I don't understand why you guys keep wanting to say nobody should claim PIP.
We don't say that. We say only people that need it should be getting it. And then you'd be able to get proper treatment, people who actually need it properly.
Do you know how hard it is when you need it properly? Do you know how
Well, I
hard
know.
it
I've
is
heard
to get it?
stories that people phone up and they get signed off for life without even visiting a doctor. I had a cousin that was given a car for free and she said she didn't need it, but she took it. People are getting who don't need it.
What would you like to happen?
So I'd like to say that I've worked since I was 15 years old.
Right.
Okay. In the 80s, they refused to take tonsils out. I was bombarded with antibiotics for 15 years. I thought I would finally get my health back. I carried on working 50 hours a week. They took my tonsils out. I was then left with chronic fatigue, stroke, ME. I carried on pushing through. And I sacrificed not having a family because I wasn't well enough, but I knew I had to work. I wanted to be independent. I worked for 30 years in my career. And I didn't want to claim any benefits.
Right.
I didn't want to go down that route because I know how hard it is to get them. And like James, your colleague, was saying, if you can work, even if you go to work and you collapse on your days off, it keeps your mind active.
Yes.
You feel independent. You know, I wasn't a big wage earner, but I carried on. And then literally lockdown week, I caught COVID and my life stopped.
Right.
Okay? I was doing interviews on Zoom. I was trying to get better. I was crawling up the stairs. I couldn't feed myself, wash, dress. And 5 years ago, my life stopped. It took me 10 months to get a benefit. I got turned down. They don't look at your doctor's notes. They don't take your doctor's notes.
Yes, but what you're saying, we agree people in your position should be getting proper help, and you would be able to get proper financial help if people weren't milking the system who don't need it. And I know people doing that.
Yeah, but that's a very small percentage.
How do you know that? It sounds like there's one in five of working age adults aren't looking for work. 1 in 5. How can that be right?
I think it's so.
Who would employ me? Who would employ
I'm
me?
not talking about you. That's the thing you keep saying. We're not talking. It's genuine people need the help, and you'll be able to get the proper help.
You don't get it. You don't get it.
Well, yeah, but that's not what we're saying. This is why we're saying it should be reformed, so people like you can get the proper
I think
help.
it's so important, and thank you so much for phoning in, because what you've highlighted is there might be a misunderstanding of what James and Ash have been previously saying. Is very, very clear on this, and I've always said the same thing. If people need it, we've got to do everything we can to make sure it's as easy as possible for you to get the benefits.
It's not going to be easy. To get a 4 in every category, you've got to be sat in a chair and you've got to be dead, basically.
But we're hearing people are doing it over the phone now, anecdotally.
So what would make your life easier? How can we help make your life easier?
What would help is if people with ME, fibromyalgia, long COVID, MS, if it got recognised, and if the assessors took your doctor's notes, your consultant's reports, but they don't. All they want to do is ask you a set of questions, and they're not trained in medical. Yeah. I asked the assessor, can you tell me if you've got experience in long COVID? Oh no, I'm a paramedic.
Yeah, no. Which is wrong. So I think we're on your side on this one, because it sounds like what you've described, you need assistance. It should get easier. They're talking about, and this is my pet subject, about artificial intelligence streamlining the process. Would you trust artificial intelligence to judge your case?
No, I wouldn't. No, because I don't even trust the assessors. What needs to be done is they need to go on your notes, not just asking you questions. And I agree with you guys, it is about what you can't do. But if they ask you what you can do, most of us can't do stuff. You know, one day you can get showered and dressed, the next day you can't. Yeah. You can't think straight. If somebody could say to me, I used to work 10-hour days as a full-time nanny for 30 years. There's no way that I could do that now. I can't get out of bed 5 days out of 7. Yeah. If there is a day when you can literally walk down 2 doors, the next day you're back in bed. If you go for a medical appointment to a consultant, you have to rest the day before. Yeah. You do that, then you collapse the next day. It takes 8 weeks to fill the form.
So what help are you getting, Kim? What sort of thing do you get? How much do you get a month from the state?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but there's ESA and PIP, but now they're going to merge ESA with Job Seekers Allowance. Job Seekers Allowance is for people who are in between jobs because they've just lost their job, they're looking for another job. and ESAs because you're too ill to work. How can you merge those two benefits together? They're totally different.
You make a really interesting point. What they need is a communication problem, because I think the way the government's done it, they've talked about how they're going to slash the amount that's being spent. What they should focus on, and we're all agreeing on this, what they should focus on is the people who are abusing the system.
There's people swinging the lead.
Exactly, swinging the lead, as they call it in political terms. What you've got to do is get rid of those people abusing the system, so people such as yourself and the terrible cases and the struggles you've so eloquently described can be looked after properly. We need to streamline the system. You don't have to fill in the forms all the time, do you? I mean, you've done it now.
No.
You have to do it every year, don't you, or something? But you're right, the doctor's notes should be, enough.
Should be sufficient.
But doctor's notes...
If you ask your doctor to write a note...
They do it a lot of the times.
No, they
some
won't
will.
do it unless DWP contact them.
Right.
And then they don't even get to speak to the doctor, and you can send off 60-page document, and they will lose the 15-page.
Well, the system's knackered. We hear anecdotally that they're on points to not put people on it, and they need to change that. It's
like insurance, isn't it? You turn on that basically.
Over 18 months, they will come with a review form,
right?
And they would take a year to review that. So the time you get to have your review, things have changed. Anyway, I'm taking up enough time.
What's great? It's really important.
Unsettling.
I know, and the whole system in this country is going to hell in a handcart. Thanks, Kim.
Yes.
Give us a ring another time. Let's go to
Thank you.
Jasmine the Witch just before the breaky.
Hello, Jasmine.
Hiya, it's Jasmine.
Jasmine is a witch and has premonitions. What have you picked up this week, Jasmine?
Well, first of all, just to say it's the first day of spring.
Yes.
Rabbits.
It's a really positive energy.
Yeah.
Also, when I look at you, Ash,
yes,
I feel as though there's something about either a new property or an extension. There's something definitely around your family energy to do with either purchasing property or building property, and it's really significant. The other thing I saw around you, Ash, was that one of your family are going to go and live abroad for a short time.
Become abroad?
Which one? Who's going to become abroad?
Good, trans rights.
Yeah.
Well done, Ash.
Well, great.
Think one of your sons is going to go abroad maybe for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And also I saw...
Will you bring back duty free with him?
I saw the German flag and the Italian flag around that, so it might be going to...
Like World War II?
It's been a bit of a worry.
Anything else, Jasmine? Anything for Andrew or anything?
With Andrew,
yes.
What I'm seeing is a holiday coming up.
Oh, he's on holiday every
my whole life is a holiday.
It's about 4 days away.
4 days away.
You did say that last week, though, didn't you?
I feel as though when I'm looking at him, I got the word brief, so he's doing...
Briefs?
He is a brief.
I am.
He's a barrister.
Right, I got that. Oh, I thought it was a journalist, right.
Nah.
Anyway, I see him.
Yes.
And I got the word hot footing.
Hot footing? Quite appropriate on the Kevin show.
Where's he going to... What's he hot footing to?
He's running to a building.
Right.
And I see the building, and it's got a dome on top of it.
A dome, okay.
It's not St. Peter's. It's like a very old-fashioned building, white marble.
Well, that's where he lives.
That's my home.
That's his house.
That's where my servants live.
Yeah.
There's a dome on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they also see him getting some kind of medal.
Oh, I think that's good. Start that campaign.
What sort of medal? What, like Muttley and where he gets a medal at the end?
A
Of...
badge.
It's got a blue ribbon with it.
Oh, come on.
So a conservative medal.
There's something that he's going to get for a honorary.
Oh, that's
medal.
good. Well, I think you can write in. You can nominate me. I'll have that.
In August, around August time.
August time,
I also feel around him there's something about his mirrors in his house.
Ah.
And I feel as though he's got too many mirrors.
Have you?
Yeah, but looking at them all the time.
And the ones on his the ones on his ceiling in his bedroom.
I also feel.
Yes.
Now this is really strange. But I saw a black cab, which is, I don't know if it's rare where he is.
What,
but
London? No, not really.
Cab,
Right.
and I feel as though it's with 1, 2, 3 people in a cab.
Oh, too many.
And I feel as though 2 of them
Yes.
are very, very famous.
Oh, very famous. Even more famous than Ash and James.
Aristocracy.
Oh, yes, that would. But they wouldn't have it. Okay.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Lady who's aristocracy.
Yes, Lady W.
And
Meghan Markle.
I feel as though the other man is just showing me a top hat, so he's a lord.
Oh, good.
So he's going to be with the lord and lady in a black cab.
Excellent.
And it's strange to say a black cab, but I feel that this black cab is a private car.
Ah, yes.
And
That might be more like it.
It's like a vintage car, but it's really good. I also got then with him that he is connected to somebody who collects vintage cars.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And that person is going to be very significant. There's a wedding around it as well.
Mazel tov.
There's a wedding coming up for him. He's going to a very social wedding.
Oh, very good.
I also feel for you, Ash.
Yeah.
I keep seeing children, so there's going to be a new
Congratulations. It's a shock.
addition to your family. And I got 16 around that.
16 children.
16 children.
Is Ash going to be the father? Is that the paternity test?
The date. Something around the 16th.
Yeah. Can we get some
I'm going to have
context?
16 children next month.
Yes, amazing.
Flipping heck.
Why do you see the children being there? Let's look at that, Jasmine. And is Ash the father? Can we clarify that? Is Ash the father?
No, but I will think I am the father.
Okay. Let me just say, the 16th of April is going to be significant for Ash for some reason, and it's going to be really important.
Yes.
I also feel around him that he needs to keep a grip of some papers, that he keeps putting papers down.
He does.
I do. I'm terrible.
He loses them. The other thing I'd like to say, Ash, and this is really significant, is that I keep seeing lots of old things like cables, machines, and things like that you collect.
Yes.
But I feel it's got to be organised more, darling.
No, you're right.
Oh,
The
he does it.
cables. I want one of them cable tie things.
Get a cable with your papers.
Have either of you ever lived in a haunted house?
Oh, my goodness.
You what? Have you
What? Who? Is that right? Who?
Have you ever lived in a haunted house?
How do we know? Aren't all houses
yeah,
haunted?
no, I actually live in the house of a woman who was a medium. Yeah, a woman.
She was later a large. It was all
She
the
was-
kebabs, wasn't it?
She wrote books and stuff.
Aye, thank you. We're here all week.
So I do get sort of stuff in my front parlour because she used to live there. It's quite spooky.
Yeah, I just felt that then. Can I just say, Ash, if you ever see a stray cat, be very kind to it.
Oh, you're mean to those stray cats.
No, I do.
Stray cat rock. I remember the band.
I remember them,
Fantastic.
but there's a load more cats now. I've noticed in the last
Cool
about
cats.
3-4 years.
They
yeah.
breed like you with your 16 children.
So is that it?
What are you saying? Cool for cats.
That's the one. Do you remember that? But that was Squeeze. That was Squeeze. The stray cats. They did the stray cat strut. Do you remember that? And they used to have a little
Top Cat.
Top Cat. Benny. Ben in Top Cat.
Benny.
PC.
Crossroads.
I've got a black cat that's called TC, Top Cat.
Oh, have you? They're lucky, aren't they? Do you throw it across your path occasionally?
I've got 3 black cats.
3? Oh, that's good. What are they called?
TC, Princess Ruby, and Pinky.
That's 4, isn't
Well,
it?
Princess Ruby's a bit posh. She doesn't quite fit in with TC and whatever.
Yeah, she does.
But she's a witch. You got to have cats. Have you got a broomstick?
Yeah, I've got a broomstick.
Do you fly around? Do you fly around on it?
What a broomstick was used for originally? People
Sweeping up.
used to go through the fields
Yes.
and witches rode the broom. The bristles are the lady parts and the stick is the shaft, the male.
Good heavens.
I'm telling you, it's for fertility.
It's for fertility. That's why there's 16 kids that Ash is going
And
to
on
have.
that bombshell, we'll take a break. Be back in 2 minutes.
You need
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, guys, 03444991000. It's a James Wells show, but he's gone now. But he'll be back same time next week. It's me and Andrew Eborn, futurist barrister. But it's your call, 03444991000. Give us a ring. We'll ring you back. We'll definitely get you on. But we've got a few. Let's go to Keith in... Keith or Matthew? Who do you want? Well, let's just go Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
Oh, Keith. Matthew. Yeah, Matthew.
What's your name?
In Devon. Matthew.
Matthew, yeah.
Matthew in Devon.
Matthew.
Good evening.
Hello.
Ash, I've spoken to you and James before, previously. I was a Tory, I'm a Reform member recently.
Yeah.
I'm just completely fed up of the media, the mainstream media, criticising Reform members, normal people. I've been in the pub tonight with my mates.
Yeah.
You know, we're just completely fed up of being categorised as right-wing.
Yeah, it's boring, isn't it?
Well, far right. They're worse than that. I mean, you are right-wing if you're wrong, but far right is the thing, yeah. Well, of course, they're basically saying you're racist.
Because we want fair policies for British people. We want less immigration.
Yes.
We want people to have GP appointments. We want our kids to go into British schools. We want GP appointments.
And that's two appointments. Saying all this now makes you a racist.
No, but also you make such a good point, don't you? Can I check this with you? We should abolish all the labels, because as soon as people say that sort of stuff, what's wrong with wanting good education, wanting good health care, wanting to make sure that our borders are protected?
Andrew,
those should be proper rights.
It's labels that are the problem. The victims and all these medical things. It's labelled identity politics. This is what's caused the downfall of this woke cult mind virus that's destroying all countries.
Your woke cult mind virus, very good. What was that?
Actually, I was born in Howard's Owen. I know you're Sutton Coalfield.
Just up there, number 9 up the Hagley Road. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm now down in Devon, but I was born and bred in Howard's Owen. Look, you know, we need change in this country, and ultimately reform. Look, Labour and the Conservatives, they're the same party to me.
But they're the only party in town now, Reform for people of your mind. But don't you think they've made a big mistake in the last month with this Rupert Lowe situation? What?
I like Rupert Lowe, Ash.
Well, this is the problem. They don't like him anymore. But you've only got Reform, so...
But we've got to stick with Reform, Ash, because that's the only hope that most normal British people like me have got.
So how does Reform survive? Because people are saying that with the Nigel spat with Rupert Lowe, the whole thing's going to implode. How do Reform survive?
Can they kiss and make up, or is it too late for Rupert?
Well, I hope Reform survive, because believe me, most normal working class people relying on Reform to get this right.
Well, they're still high up in the polls, but I think now actually might be a good time if they could get back together with Rupert. It would give them extra power, because they'll say, look, you've fallen apart, but you've got it all back together. So that's what they need to do.
It would help, but ultimately, Reform have got to survive.
And do you want mass deportations? Because they're not...
Yes, me, I personally do.
But they're backing away from that.
Had enough. You know, I'm down in Devon now, and look, you know, it's probably better here than it is in cities. You know, in Birmingham, and London, etc. But it's still bad down here. We've got immigrants down here. We've got homeless people. You know, veterans sleeping in bloody doorways.
Yeah. But that's tragic, isn't it? And that's what we always say, is that charity begins at home, and you should be looking after the veterans and things like that.
Andrew, I agree, but it doesn't happen anymore. You know. How can we have hotels, and we have them here in the seaside resort I live in, where they've had migrants in here for the last 5 years, and we have British veterans who serve their country sleeping in doorways. I'm sorry, how is that right?
And we had a brilliant guest on, you might remember a couple of weeks ago, who had Tintagel Castle. That's right. And he for part of the mapping and web, well, he was the mapping part of it, but he would say he wouldn't accept what would calculate to be millions to basically get full occupancy, very tempting for other people, to get full occupancy.
And you can't blame the other people for taking it.
No, not at all.
But that's the problem. You know, the government said they cut the hotels, they've increased them. They just lie to us constantly.
The country, Ash and Andrew, is completely screwed.
Yeah.
We need people, people criticise Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They've got it completely spot on.
Yeah.
We could do with two people like that in this country.
No, we said absolutely. I want Elon Musk to come over here with his chainsaw, do a doge for UK.
Would you like Ben Habib and Rupert to form another party, or do you just think Reform should sort it out because that's the best bet? I mean, what do you think should happen? Because we've got 4 years, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got 4 years. I really do hope that that Ben and Rupert can come back into Reform.
Yeah.
We've got to do something because people like me, and believe me, a lot of other normal working class people
Yes.
have had enough of Labour and the Conservatives.
Yeah. But
we need
the point you were making beforehand about it's the label that puts people off, because what you talked about is policy, and I always say forget the labels, because it does. You say this is a right-wing policy, therefore the left have to say something different. What we should focus on is the real issues that affect everybody.
Normal
focus on that. Everybody's normal, abnormal, it doesn't matter. It affects everybody. We want health, we want education, that sort of stuff.
People that go to work, we pay our taxes.
Yes.
We've had enough of the way this country is, and Starmer is, I would never have voted for him and Labour. They're completely useless. But the Tories was for 14 years. They had 14 years. I voted Conservative.
Well, they ruined this country permanently. Anyway, thanks, Matthew.
Great points, thank you.
Let's go to Keith in Surrey. Keith.
Hello, Keith.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
You touched on something earlier.
Yes, I didn't think you saw that.
I want to say, if I have time. Firstly, that clown in the Foreign Office, Lammy.
Yeah.
Now, he, if I remember rightly, gave either 40 million or 40 billion to Syria after Assad.
Who were busy murdering Druze and Christians. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's also reinstated the payments to UNRWA, the UN, who are actually on the Hamas raid on October the 7th, murdering people. So we've got these. He's also arguing that we should have the Chinese embassy right next to Tower Bridge, when both bipartisan councils in Westminster are saying no, the police are saying no, but Angela Rayner and David Lammy are saying no, we can't have a super embassy Chinese. Now, why are these people doing that?
But I don't understand why he's given 40 million and they've turned out to be another terrorist organisation.
Well, they're ISIS, basically, but he put a suit on, cut his hair and goes, look, I'm all right now. Meanwhile, they're busy slaughtering and torturing Christians and Druze by the thousand. It's not even going on the news.
So can we send him out there to pick the money back up?
Well, you see, there's a thought.
Only if there's double portions of chicken.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I'll tell you what I like was Trump doing the long list of wasted money in the US and all these extreme examples we kept on quoting. We should do that. Doge, we should have the Department of Government Efficiency here.
Thanks, we've got to take a break. But, he saved 120 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we pay that in just interest on our loan. We pay 100 billion a year, so that wouldn't even touch the sides what America has saved. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. We might go through the papers. We've got so many calls, so give us a ring. It's me and Andrew on the James Wales show. Who's gone home. We'll be back next week. Back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk 03444991000. It's me and Andrew Eborn in for James Wales, who's gone home, but he'll be back next week at 10. Tony in Lancashire.
Hello, Tony.
Good evening, Ash.
All right, mate.
Not so bad. Just two things I can't get my head round.
Yeah.
Right. These illegals breaking in, right? Breaking in full stop, breaking in law, yeah? Right. How are they entitled to any benefits at all?
Well, because they declare they're not entitled to benefits, but they get paid because they declare asylum. We put them in a force.
Shouldn't be getting anything.
Yeah, but they're getting 40 grand a year.
What would you do?
Plus lawyers. Yeah,
what would you do?
I'll tell you what, I'd probably do a Trump here, because I'd probably say to France, on this case, right, start taking these illegals back, I'm going to start revoking your fishing license.
But it's even easier than that. We could say, no, come in, you're getting locked up until you can find somewhere else to go, and then they'll soon stop coming when they're not on this gravy train.
I'll start sending them back. They're breaking in.
Yeah.
They're throwing the passports in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're entitled to... But that's another thing, right? Do you have to save in $5 billion, yeah?
6.6 billion, I
right,
think. It'll be a lot more than that.
Okay, well, I could probably... If I'm trying to do my maths here, right, they give $3.5 billion to transport for these illegals, transport and stuff, yeah, what I've heard. Yeah? And $6.6 billion to help them to integrate, like zoo trips and all that daft. We don't need all that rubbish.
We don't need them to integrate. We just don't want them here.
Yeah,
if you're not going to accept our culture, and you're going to try and bring your own culture, we don't want it.
And stuff like that, getting upset and all stuff like that, who's probably genuine, and yet, I'm trying to do my maths here. Yeah. So we could probably say 10 billion, right?
Absolutely.
Benefits and stuff.
And
they don't need it.
The point you make is really good, because what it is, if you stop giving people an incentive to come, you turn around, we have a tough policy.
Entitled. Do you know, there's another thing I like to say as well. I agree with Isabel.
Who's
you
Isabel?
should only be able to
What, my auntie Isabel?
Yes.
Two things. Physically, and you've worked... And she won about 5 years, but I give it 25 years, mate.
Did what?
30. If you worked in this country...
Well, yeah, you should have to pay in if you're going to take out, but people come here and they get everything given to them.
The Mickey, some of them.
Well, a lot of them. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Andrew. Oh, by the way, let's read a text out. Ash, now James Wales has gone to bed. I have to say, I love your new psychic Andrew. Polite, erudite, and his dress sense is impeccable.
Oh, come on.
Morrity in Caversham. Hi, Ash and Andrew. Question for Andrew. Could you explain what a futurist barrister is, please? I've never heard of one before. Ash, you're gorgeous. Thanks. Thanks.
There you go. How sweet is that? Well, futurist, what we do, I work
like
with
Mystic
companies.
Meg.
Well,
not really.
What we do, we help companies look at things in the future. We look at technology, we look at artificial intelligence, and help them navigate the changing seas, if you like.
And the laws, what's going on with the laws?
And that's what we do. We work on that sort of basis. And the law side, my background is as an intellectual property
Because Paul McCartney was saying this, it was signed up with 500 other artists. They're very annoyed that, they're going to reproduce stuff.
Well, what's happening is the Data Use and Access Bill, and we've actually had a big campaign against that. And what we've said is that originally it was going to be they could scrape the internet without permission. They deemed that everybody opted in. In other words, you could use it without permission unless you object. Copyright law stops people using your work unless you give express permission. We've successfully done a campaign. I've had lots of famous artists and people in the industry and other creators coming on the Andrew Eborn show and talking about it. They've now changed that, so there's a policy where you have to basically say, I have to give express permission. So that's a victory from that point of view.
But what's your view on the new online safety bill? I mean, you can feel they're coming for YouTube.
Well,
they're coming to end-to-end. They've already got end-to-end encryption, so they can just look in our phones.
It is so worrying.
This is taking our freedom of speech expression. They can look at your photos.
It's a fundamental right to be able to think. When people have little WhatsApp groups, they make jokes amongst themselves. Taken out of context, they look awful.
They go to prison.
Everybody's WhatsApp. Descartes
said, isn't it? It's 1984. We're living in it.
It was Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." In Britain, "I think, therefore I am arrested." Is what's happening now.
Desmond Cartes.
You remember his? He got his album with Des O'Connor.
Great he was. He trusts leaves on horseback and comes on foot.
There's the bingo.
Andrew in Bristol.
Oh, hello, Andrew.
Yeah, good evening to you, and thanks for taking the call.
It's all right.
I would offer you a couplet.
Oh, a couplet?
What, is that like a poem or something?
Yes, it is. Very good. Go for it.
Shakespeare.
Go for it.
Because we're talking about Shakespeare and how they're all trying to say he's racist, like, you know, they did with Churchill and Nelson. They're undermining the foundations of Britain to, overcome us. Go on, Andrew, let's hear your couple.
And that's total cobblers, as we all know. But I would say to you this. If Starmer sends troops to Ukraine, that's proof that the man is insane.
Is that Shakespeare?
And that's all I would say. I don't know whether Shakespeare wrote that, but he might as well have.
I think it was in Othello, the lost pages. But the whole point is about he calls it a peacekeeping force, and there's a difference between a peacekeeping force and enforcers, the people who monitor, if you like, because the monitors are not armed. If you do a peacekeeping force, it's one of the red lines for Putin. What's your view?
My view is that it's a piss-taking force.
Of course it is. We haven't got a military. We've got about 5,000 troops that would be battle ready. He's not worried about losing 1 million men. He'll chuck them all, get from his friends' countries. He doesn't care. I mean, we're not realistic anymore. As I said before, we're 26th. We're behind some African states. Anyway, look, we're going to the news in a minute. So 0344 499 1000. It's talk. It's the James Wells Show. We'll be listening on the way home. Maybe he could give us a ring. So stay with us. 0344 499 1000. You can WhatsApp us. You can Twitter us. What's your twit?
At Andrew Ebel. At Octopus TV.
At Virtual Ash. We'll be back in 2 minutes after the latest news.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, he's headed off home. He'll be back next week. So it's me and Andrew, but give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. But we're going to go through a few of the papers. And let's start with the Daily Mirror, the year of Kate's courage. And, we all know about that. She had that cancer battle, but she's come out well. And grounded, Heathrow is closed as Blaze cuts off power. I've heard some more planes are starting to leave, but Heathrow Airport was yesterday crippled by a substation fire, sparking questions about why it relies on just one main electricity source. source as well as other questions. Around 200,000 passengers were stranded after the blaze cut off power for most of the day. One expert warned Heathrow should not be vulnerable to a single point of failure. Well, this net zero plays a part in it because they installed a new system. They got rid of the diesel generators and brought in some batteries and biofuel. And it's just not enough. It's meant to work alongside that grid, which is obviously no good if it's been blown up or blown up of its own accord.
You can't have one single point of failure. That's the whole thing. 200,000 passengers. How awful it is for them. And you're working on that. So basically, the knock-on effect is going to be for days. We need to make sure this never happens again. They always say that, but they still keep on repeating.
Lessons have been learned. That's what they'll say.
History repeats itself because we don't learn the lessons from history.
Yeah, I mean, they probably will sort that out because that's big business and they do worry about that sort of thing. I mean, we saw it, didn't we, when we never found out this drone that shut down Gatwick for a week.
Well, this is the trouble with the media cycle. They get one story, it hits the headlines for a couple of days and then disappears. We should follow those stories up.
Yeah, OK. Well, let's take a call in between that. Let's Will in West Sussex.
Hello, Will in West Sussex.
Hi, well, I'm going to mention something that's going to confuse the hell out of you.
Oh, good.
Good.
Essentially, I'm on the benefit system, but I want to work. But the benefit system considers me too unfit to work, and I should mention I'm autistic.
Yeah.
So without occupation, I don't function properly.
Right.
I
so it's actually doing you harm, not working. It would do you well, but I'm guessing that if you did do it, you'd lose all your benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so it's not. It's a bad system.
All my benefits a benefit. To
how
be
much?
honest.
What do you get? Do you get a car? Do you get how much? Do you get your rent paid? And what?
Mate, I get about £290 a month, and that's about it.
Yeah, but don't you get your rent paid as well?
No.
Well, you're not doing that well. Then,
I mean, you make a really good point, and there's a lot of people who we're speaking to the earlier caller as well. People need help.
Without work, I wouldn't function. I want to work, but the benefit system says, "Oh, you too unfit."
Well, hold on. You're only on 200. It would be beneficial for you to work if you're only on 290 a month.
They won't let me. They won't let me.
What do you mean they're actually stopping you working?
What sort of work would you like? What sort of work would you like?
How are they stopping you working?
Gardener, painter, decorator.
Well, what do you mean they're stopping you working then? Or what they're saying? Oh, no, you've got to quit that job immediately.
It's between my NHS doctor and my blooming job centre benefactor.
Well, they're telling you not to get a job.
Well, lots of people listen to this programme.
Doesn't make sense.
Lots of people listen.
How do you pay your rent?
What sort of work would you like? And maybe we can get somebody who's in your area, maybe able to find a way of doing things. What sort of work could you do, Will?
Well, I would like to be anything.
How do you pay your rent? You say you don't get money for rent, so you have to pay. How do you do that without a job?
I'm forced to live with my mum under a carer's thing.
Right. That is bad news. But surely it would be better for you to just ignore your doctors, go out and get a job. They can't be telling you...
Well, they can't force you not to have a job.
They can't force you.
You know, your psychosis is too bad to work or something.
Well, what do they say will happen if you work?
Well, they're like, oh, you can't be trusted with this, you can't be trusted with that.
What, a paintbrush?
Medication that won't let you use machinery.
Right.
I'm sat there like...
Sure, Will, have you had a job beforehand? What sort of job have you done in the past, if you have?
Well, I've had a job before. I've been cleaning... I used to clean a bus station in a local town.
Yeah.
And it did you good? I mean, have you told the doctor, work does me good? Well, what does the doctor say when you say work does me good? Do they go, oh, no? And what do the job centre say when you say that? It doesn't sound right.
They look at me and they look at me and go, you're too unfit. And I'm like, how?
No. You make such a good point, Will, and so eloquently put. What you make is that we want a purpose in life. And working is not just about money, it's about giving you a purpose. So when you were cleaning...
Exactly. It's the purpose, not the money.
Yes.
I don't really get this, though. I don't write, you know, you're only getting 290 a month, and I mean, it just doesn't...
I think it's really good. But so you don't have to answer this, but why did your work at the bus station stop?
Because I had a severe psychosis attack, but that was it. It was just because I had a slight crying session.
Right, so you had a sort of breakdown thing, yeah.
And people need to be sensitive for this sort of stuff. And I think, but again, you again put it so eloquently, Will, is that you want to work if there are opportunities, and maybe people can get in touch if they. Tell us briefly in 30 seconds what sort of work would be good for Will.
He's not allowed to work.
Well, perfect work for me would be playing with, like, you know, machinery or blooming.
Yeah,
like,
but that's
you
the
know.
way you shouldn't be. Apparently, that's the last thing. Maybe
Yeah, but that's why I hate them. They're taking away the one thing that gives me purpose in life.
Well, that sounds crazy, but I sort of do believe it in a way. And thanks, Will. Let's
Thanks,
go to
Will. Good luck
Paul.
with everything.
Paul in Manchester, give us a ring 03444
Hi, Paul.
1000. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Ash. Hello.
All right, man.
Hello.
Yeah, man.
I'm just ringing up about before James left earlier. He was talking about if things carry on, basically the shit's going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that ship has sailed. The horse.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think it's.
We don't realise it's like the boiling frog syndrome. We're already in the middle of it. Our interest rate payments are 100 billion a year, and we're going, oh, we've saved 6 billion here. That won't even touch the side of a month's payments just for our loan, which is now obviously a high interest rate. It's not like a few years ago. It's like 5-6%.
Yeah. It's terrible. I'm in Oldham, and Oldham.
Well, that's even worse, isn't it? I mean, so what's the answer then?
Not back in the day, it weren't Nash.
No, I know. I mean, obviously, it was a thriving place back in all these places.
Yeah,
I mean, even London, they were all thriving places.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was lovely. It was lovely.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
But now it's
a hellhole.
All these MHOs. Is that what they're called?
HMOs.
HMOs, yeah.
Houses of multiple occupation.
Yeah. There's a pub on the corner for me. It's been there for like 100 years, and that's been emptied.
Yeah. And they're all getting shut down, the pubs. And do you remember Starmer tried to ban smoking in pubs, and then he tried to make people grass like the Gestapo in pubs? Yeah. They're really trying to shut the pubs and make these 15-minute cities. We saw in Bristol, they did something overnight. They're trying to shut us down so we can't all get together and discuss things.
It's a massive problem. But
it's back in what is letting it happen. I just don't understand.
We're all letting it happen. It's like they put something in the water.
And it used to be the pub used to be your relevant, the beating heart of the community where people would do that. There was a TV programme we were going to do with a friend of mine called Local Hero, where we're going to basically go and get the local pubs, get them all back into, and get a sense of community back in the world. That's got to be good, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like £8 a pint, isn't it, in some pubs?
Oh, crazy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like there's some like higher power like in charge going, you know what? This is how it's going to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm talking about that pub just across the road. There's a nursery school, and next door to that was a curry house. Me and the wife used to go all the time. It was beautiful, and it shut down. And now it was 2 stories. It's now 4 stories, and again, it's multiple housing right next door to a nursery, and the windows to see in the backyard. My son was in there. Right, I'm not pointing any fingers, but I think it's bloody dangerous.
Well, thanks there, Paul. Yeah, that's
thanks,
Paul in
Good
Oldham. Right, let's go to another paper. The Daily Telegraph, colossal failure of Heathrow blackout. Yeah, we know that. Kate Humble, Clarkson is the farmer's saviour. And did you watch that programme he did, The Farmyard, Jeremy Clarkson's Farmyard?
And he does that,
Fantastic.
and Diddley Squat and all that sort of
Diddley Squat. It really has shown all the red tape crap their farmers have to go
I think that's right. And this whole thing about that, people need the farmers. People say, let's finally get your food on the table. How does it get there? Well, the farmers work round the clock. They don't say 9 to 5, I can clock off now. Farmers who are watching,
and they make a pittance, a lot of them, and they're trying to steal the farms. Yes, steal them. I mean, Angela Ames talking about, planning permission's going to be easy, and they'll buy it off you for a fraction of what it's worth, and they're trying to nick your land through inheritance tax. A few days before, he was meeting Bill Gates, who's the biggest private farmland owner in the world. I mean, there's something the WEF are trying to take farmland off us, make us eat insects, because that is the future of feeding the world. They can be. They do them in chocolate, don't they? But they'll all be eating their steaks and chips, and we'll be on locusts.
Yeah, we love a good locust. Yeah. The principle is that inheritance tax is wrong. You work throughout your life, you pay lots of money, you pay your tax and so on and so forth, you pay tax, VAT on goods and services that you buy throughout your life. When you die, you should be able to pass on whatever you've managed to scrape together to your family.
Like other countries did, and originally it was meant for the super rich that were meant to do that, people in stately homes, and, in the First World War, people lost their heir and even their brothers, so they had to pay like double whammy. But now the very rich have accountants that mean they don't have to pay, and it comes on
And actually, the amount of money, I looked at this with some wonderful financial minds, they turned around and said the actual amount of money is relatively small. It's only about 7 billion. It sounds a lot as a figure, but you look at the different economics and so on and so forth. If they abolished inheritance tax, you'd only cost the economy 7 billion. You could find that elsewhere. You'd encourage people to come over here and invest. If we earn money throughout the rest of our life paying taxes, all of that sort of stuff, we must be able to pass it on to our children.
And people will do lots of other. I think America don't have it. You know, I know Israel doesn't have it. So people just move before they die, and you don't get a penny.
Get rid of it.
03444991000. It's the press preview. Let's talk to Anna in Epsom. That's where James Wales was originally from, where they invented salt.
Oh,
Anne.
They did.
Hi, Anne. Anne.
Hiya.
Hiya.
What I wanted to say was, you know, obviously, I mean, I love your show. And the thing is, every week you know, it's about the immigrants, the state of the country, you know, but why don't all the British people get together and march?
Well, I agree.
Just had enough.
But 1 in 5 of people who are of employment age, a lot of them are milking the system of our own. Never mind immigrants, it's people from this country are milking the system. And people are scared now, you know, they've succeeded in scaring people, putting them in prison for saying dirty words. They've actually put fear into people with this two-tier system.
We must be able to call it out. And what I loved about the callers today, we've got to stop fear. We've got to, because fear, as you say, is the biggest human emotion. And what happens is that people who genuinely need benefits are not being looked after properly. It's those who abuse the system we've got to stop.
That is true, but I still think that British people should march about the state this country's in. It's never been this bad.
I don't know who it was that said it, but I think it was Brian Cant on Playaway once. He said, the people shouldn't fear the government should fear the people. And this is what's happened. It's all upside down world.
Years ago, wasn't it human rights? Wasn't human rights for us? Wasn't we?
Well, it was a proper human rights. It was for a proper subjugated people, like Ukraine recently, and maybe Hong Kong as well. But not for people just they're having a bad time in the third world, and they just come here and say they're Christian and gay, and all right, you can be paid for your dollar.
And you talk about march. Have you ever been on a march?
No, I haven't.
Well, there you
go. So you've got to
get on a march, Anne. You need to get on a march, right?
No, I would go on a march. But the thing is, look at Keir Starmer.
Yes.
One more thing.
Yeah.
He's gave 1.6 million to a punk rock group.
Oh, which one?
I don't know. It was in the paper.
The Lambrini Girls.
The Lambrini Girls.
Worth every penny, that is. We need more of that. And we're giving them to shrimp farms in Bangladesh, you know, which is all... And there was I think that was America. There's a Sesame Street in Bangladesh. They're paying...
an Arab one, I think it was,
Oh, I want to say that. I wonder who plays Big Bird.
Hey. Do you want to do that? You with your 16 kids?
I'm big enough.
We're giving billions to Africa.
Yes.
You know, no.
And we're poorer than a lot of African states. We give loads to India, who've got their own space program, China.
What we need to do is what Trump did, is read out that list of the absurd waste of money. I always say that sunlight is the best disinfectant, just to keep Ash happy.
The bingo card.
And that's what we need to do. Wouldn't that be a fairer way? Tell people we're spending it on this. Let the general public and let the great British audience decide, is that a fair use of our money? Is that a fair point?
Yeah, I just think we need a march, a massive march, to stick up for our people.
And then they'll ignore it.
Sorry?
Then they just ignore it. I mean, there have been certain marches and they'll end up arresting people as well.
Yeah.
But you're right, we do need to stand up.
We do, because no one, you know, I mean, God, you know, they all have a go at Tommy Robinson, but I think he's one brave man, if I'm honest.
He's a very passionate man, you know.
And he has a lot of supporters, and our switchboard explodes every time we mention his name, because it's it's inhumane treatment, and it's good to keep calling that out.
Thanks, Alan. That's coming from a barrister. Right, let's go to the Guardian. Ottolenghi is he's a cook, isn't he? He does all about vegetables.
Ottolenghi's lovely. Have you done that?
Roast chicken, the joy of good food.
Isn't roast chicken good? Well, it's one of those sort of meats that everybody loves.
I had it tonight, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, delicious.
What did you have with it?
Roast potatoes, broccoli, and asparagus.
Asparagus? I'm not going to go anywhere near you tomorrow.
Don't know. Chaos and anger as fire shuts Heathrow Airport.
Quite
We know
right
about
too.
that. Actor, producer, marijuana entrepreneur Seth Rogen. I don't know what he's talking about. Lawrence Killer's admission could lead to breakthrough. Yeah, this is interesting. Exclusive. David Norris may be asked to name other gang members after reportedly admitting his role in the murder of Stephen Lawrence. Now, he said he didn't stab the man, but he said he was part of it. This is interesting.
Yes.
I mean, I remember they actually came in, Max Clifford brought them in to talk radio, and do you remember the Daily Mail said guilty? They were sort of breaking a... Well, it was a precedent, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't actually... They said sue us if you think you can, and obviously they couldn't, because they turned out some of them were found guilty.
Yeah, I still think it's wrong. I still think trial by media is wrong. It's right to shine a spotlight.
Yeah, but they didn't have a trial for them at all, so the Mail came out and said it.
But you might prejudice the trial, and this is the whole thing about reporting.
Well, it didn't, because they did find a couple guilty, but there was 2 or 3 that did get away with it, and maybe... They must be bricking it at the moment, and rightfully so. Israel warns Hamas it will annex parts of Gaza. I mean, all the press as well. I saw Douglas Murray talking about this, going on, Israel has shut the ceasefire. No, there was a date for the ceasefire, and it fell down, and that was Hamas's fault. You know, first of all, parading these babies that they'd strangled around, having big raves, and parading hostages looked like they'd come out of Belton. But apart from that, the ceasefire finished. Guess what? When the ceasefire finishes, it's back to war. And don't moan if you start an horrendous war on October the 7th when you get it back. Right.
I have to say, I mean, just for the point of balance, any loss of life is appalling. It is absolutely
but that's what happens in war, innocence, especially if you surround yourself with children and women when they could be put in tunnels. Of course, that's going to happen.
We must, and this is Trump's on a mission. I always say to get the Nobel Peace Prize, we should support him on that mission. He's got interesting ways of dealing with it, but absolutely there's tragedies on all sides. And I always say, another bingo thing for you, but it's so important, that the first casualty in war is the truth. There's so much propaganda going around.
Yeah, but the press are printing it out. They're going, oh, it's the Gaza Health Ministry telling us 400. Well, guess what? That's Hamas, you idiots. Anyway, we've got to take a little break here at this point. Right, let's take a break. We're back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's the James Wales show. He's gone home again, but, you know, he's getting better every week and he'll probably stay a bit longer, you know,
It's great to see him getting
It's good to see him, and he looks great.
He looks wonderful. And it's what Will was saying beforehand about having a purpose. And it's absolutely right. He comes alive in this studio, and it's great to hear him.
And he wasn't knackered at the end, you know. He could have done a bit more, but, you know, he's gone home very sensible. The Daily Express, Britain must not abandon our last World War II.
Quite right, too.
Heroes. The Express calls for urgent funding so veterans can attend memorials. But what would you be thinking if you're a World War II hero? I mean, you'd be thinking, what have I done this for? And it obviously leads on to the case of why would you join the military now?
I don't know who would join the military now. It'd be interesting to hear any audience on that sort of basis. But we need to look after our heroes. You know, what they did is give us the great Britain we have today.
The freedom.
We wouldn't be
they
here.
Fought for freedom. I mean,
we've got to look after them.
And we're throwing it away, and we're losing our sovereignty.
Charity begins at home. I always say that. So rather than wasting money on things that are wrong, the people who are abusing the system, people who are coming here illegally, we should look after our own.
And Hitler must be swivelling in his grave by thinking, well, we should have just come in a load of rubber dinghies. That would have been problems. You know, every month we get more than William the Conqueror, the Normans, brought for the invasion of Britain. I mean, it is a bit of a worry that we've got people that there will be terrorists in them, and that's already been shown. There's been terror attacks from people that have come in. And Vanessa's joy at nice little Oasis chat show. All right, our kid, and you can win tickets, can't you, for Oasis?
I know, she's wonderful, Vanessa.
I saw her a couple of weeks ago. You won't see her on air anymore, but yeah, she did say, I've got something really big coming up, and I said, what is it? Yeah. No, I think she's had that, I don't know, she looked quite thin, but she said she's got this big TV show coming
Channel
up.
5.
I said it's Channel 5, that's why because I said, what is it, ITV? She I can't tell you, obviously, because it was Channel 5. But still, you know, good for her. And £5 off when you spend 25 quid at Dobby's, whatever that is.
Spend £4,000, we'll give you a fiver off.
Chris in Gloucestershire.
Hello. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Good to hear. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd love to offer a solution to the immigration problem.
Go for it.
Act as a bit of a deterrent as well. Free of charge to the government, they're more than welcome to use it.
Okay.
I'm talking to you as a military veteran. Why can't it might cost a couple of million to set up, but I'd rather pay that than the millions in hotels every day.
Yeah.
Why can't we take a bit of the National Trust land, put a nice big fence up with some barbed wire up, stick all the immigrants in there with a couple of bivvy sacks, you know.
Put them in the National Trust properties. But we should just get rid of the National Trust. They're all woke and putting little signs on statues going, this was a slave or this person was a slave. Do you know what I mean? Why do we want to damage our National Trust?
Well,
what do we want them working there for? Can you imagine what they're going to be telling us about there?
Yeah, no, I just think we can contain the people. We know where they are. They can have their little asylum centre, feed them a bit of chicken and rice.
Yeah.
And, you know...
I think you need to think it through. I mean, what's going on in where are you in Gloucestershire?
Well, I'm all over the place. I'm a milk tanker driver, so...
You're a milk tanker driver?
Oh, well done.
Yeah, but you must have a house.
Tetborough. I live about 2 miles down the road from the King, or one of his properties.
Okay, beautiful. No, we love it there.
Where's that? Where's that? Where does he live? He doesn't live there.
Dufton.
Exactly.
Oh, is that village he built?
That lovely thing is that. So going back to your point, though, the National Trust, though, they're not going to be too happy having that, are they?
The National Distrust.
Well,
comes in on foot.
Do it for the better of the country, and like I said, save millions of pounds that we're paying in hotel fees and driving lessons.
Well,
and
never mind all that. Just do the Australian system. You come here, you get locked up, and you've got to find somewhere else to go, and they'll soon stop coming.
You need a big disincentive.
I'd love to sit there on the borders and push it back myself personally, but you know,
with your milk truck
in trouble for that. Yeah.
Ernie, do you have an employee called Ernie? The best thing he ever did. Do you remember that?
Benny Hill. Yeah, it was just when I was born. It was #1. Ernie, the fastest milkman.
Give us a line of it. Can you sing
Ernie,
it? Ernie, and he drove the fastest milk truck in the West. Do you remember that one?
Have you ever had a milk spillage?
Oh, look at that. Don't cry.
Oh, every day.
Really?
There's no point crying over it.
Thank you.
No point crying over it. We just put a blanket over it, we walk away.
Do you get free milk then?
Yes and no.
What's the puzzle? Yes and no. Look at you helping yourself.
I'm not admitted to that.
It fell off the back of a lorry.
Yeah, I bet it's lovely and creamy before it comes out.
Oh, it gets churned if you go over the bumps.
Do you know...
No, it's not get churned. It's got baffles in the tank.
Oh, that's what they do? Okay.
So what is going on? I mean, have you got a migrant problem where you are? Do you see, has it changed the face of where you live?
I personally know of at least 3 hotels in our area and in the local...
Right.
The key giveaway is there's about 100 push bikes outside the doors.
Oh, right.
And,
doing deliveries and that. And is it causing problems? You know, we hear anecdotally about people, you know, going to schools and hanging out. Are you seeing any trouble?
Yeah, you see the crime rate has gone up. Like, I've noticed in, like, secondary schools and stuff like that, and my sister not telling me, there's sometimes the people, like, weirdos hanging around and, like, looking at them and...
taking pictures and stuff like that, I've heard about.
Well, it's really worrying, that, isn't it? What would you do about it?
What about the... well,
no, the people already in the hotels. You move them to the National Trust property. Is that basically the idea?
I'd put, nice big fence-off area, put them all in there, and all the unemployed people, offer them a job as security. That's far-right people, apparently. We're seeing... well, we can keep them contained, I would have thought. So I'm not a racist, but, you know,
But you'll be told you are for saying that. But,
but it's really, you make a really good point about...
I signed it, but...
No, you're right. You make a good point about labels, and people turn round, and if you call out anything and say... if you call out facts, you're labelled as far-right. Now, that's wrong, isn't it? You're not far-right, you're right so far.
I've done over 10 years in the army. I 2 tours.
Yeah. Where were your tours?
Pardon, sorry?
Whereabouts were your tours?
Afghanistan.
Right. That must have been tough.
So what were you in? What unit were you in?
I was in the KRH, King Royal Hussars.
Right.
So you saw action out there then as well?
Yeah.
It was horrendous, apparently.
Do we look after the servicemen who serve and women who've served us, served this country so well?
They just get sent to the NHS like everyone else.
Yeah, it's such a hassle to get anything or ask for help. You have to go through so many loopholes.
You see a lot of them begging people with... I saw a guy the other day, he had no legs. I mean, this was from serving his country, and he's just out there begging. You've got people who are blind, you know, it's horrendous, and they're getting nothing. And people who just rock up on in a dinghy are getting everything.
Yeah, it makes me physically sick and angry. Like I said to you, I spent plenty of time out in Dartmoor on Salisbury Plain, getting cold, wet and hungry. Why can't they do it?
Would you do it if you were a young guy now? Would you join the military, or would you say, I'm not doing that? Why would I want to work for this country?
Personally, I would, because I like the whole national service kind of idea. I thought I felt I had to give something to my country.
Yeah, but why would you think that now as a young lad? Why would you want to give something to your country for a starman to say, yeah, I'm going to put boats on the ground? Why would you want to work for that and people who don't even have a stake in this country?
Personally, it's not for those jumped up idiots. I did it for the mates and the people that was around me. They was people that was
well, that's what your brothers in arms. But the thing is, they call the working class white guys, you know, they're the racists, they're the far right, block them up, and then they go, oh yeah, but we need you. They're the backbone of our military, so they really are. I can't even say what they are. But, you know what I mean.
I think we're very much on the same page. But
you've got to look after. What was the transition for you from being in the military to driving Ernie's milk float?
Has he transitioned?
Well, yeah, I had a couple of years out, just chilling out, just concentrating on my family, do a bit of part-time work, mainly farming. Then I went and set up my own business. I used to run 3 lorries myself.
Okay.
I actually had to sell that all last October.
Why was that? Was it trouble with red tape and bureaucracy and just no point in being in business?
Long and short of it, the cost of it was just getting too ridiculous. And then Labour government kind of come in and she announced all the taxes and everything were going up. Yeah. And I knew full well that in April I just would not be able to survive. So I kind of sold everything, jumping the gun a bit, because that's small-time guys. We was getting outbid by the bigger
and this is how Rachel Thief stimulates growth, by taxing us out of existence and everyone leaving the country.
And it's so important that you talk about this, because there are lots of people like you who set up their small businesses who've basically stopped trying to put more back into the system as a result of this red tape and the terrible tax situation.
Yeah, well, including myself, I employed 5 people full time.
Right.
So they've all lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Now you've sold
They've
that.
all lost their jobs, and I've got now. Like I say, I drive a milk tanker.
Yes.
I've just decided it's easier just to be a number rather than actually go out.
So
and
sad.
Do
Go out
something.
and be an entrepreneur. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
your
Chris.
call.
Really good
Give us
call.
a ring, 0344 499 1000. We've got to take a little break. Yeah, we have. 0344 499 1000. It's the James Wells Show with Andrew Eborn and Ash, but he's gone home, but he'll be back from 10 next week. Back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's Talk, the James Wells Show, but it's me and Andrew Eborn at Virtual Ash and at Andrew Eborn.
I know that, at Octopus TV.
Now, Andrew also does What Just Happened, the show, Kev O'Sullivan's show. Samara's on it as well, and Kev has replaced the lefty it used to be on it, so he's got to be a bit lefty. But what a lot of people don't know is, apart from being a futurist and a barrister, he's a member of the Magic Circle, and he did one of his tricks, and we've got, by the way, you can watch it from tomorrow. It was on live today, but you can watch it from tomorrow. That's What Just Happened. But let's have a look at the clip of Andrew and his magic fingers.
Oh, look! Look! What? What happened there? Did you burn yourself?
Just a little bit. Watch. Name
oh my God, I think my top's on fire.
Name a time, Samara.
2017.
2020 and 17 seconds. Let's have a look. If you watch it,
What is it?
look exactly.
No,
the
look,
time there
it is.
It's 2020 and exactly 17 seconds.
That's amazing. No, look.
Are you serious? Oh
what just happened?
What just happened, indeed?
Yeah. I know what just happened. That's one of the original Alexas. They used to come on pocket watches, and you go, set it to 22:17. No, but how do you do it? Tell us. Tell us.
It's all by magic. I love it. It's got to be good. But who says 2017? It was brilliant. I love it. I love doing that show.
And you burned Samara's top. You do that on purpose.
The whole thing
and
went
you
up in
deflected it,
fire.
didn't you, by burning your fingers?
It was all there.
You dirty old man.
And the watch appeared out of nowhere. I love it. It's a wonderful energy in the show. It's got to be good.
That was amazing, actually.
It's good.
But do you remember Penn and Teller?
I do. Great.
I was once in New York. Yeah, that's right. I was in New York, Manhattan, and I saw the one that doesn't talk.
Yeah, tell her.
And I heard him talking, ordering a burger.
No,
he
but
does
that's-
actually talk.
He only talks when he orders burgers.
But what do you think about them giving away the secrets?
Well, I
Because
think
they did sort of boost magic as well as...
As a member of the Magic Circle, it's one of our fundamental points. We don't give away the secrets. You don't need to know the secrets. Take away the mystery. You take away the magic. It's like if you go and see a movie, just enjoy the moment. It's like asking a singer, you know, you don't dissect the songs, just enjoy the moment. That's what you've got to do. We've got great members of the Magic Circle. King Charles is a member of the Magic Circle. Nigel Mansell is a member. Oh, very good. We've got lots and lots of famous people.
Nigel Mansell?
Nigel Mansell. What happened? He had an accident, and in order to basically get his dexterity back, he was taught by Max Somerset and various other magicians how to do magic tricks. And it's a great way of learning, getting your dexterity back and things like that. We also have a youth initiative, so people from the age of 10 can become
Most
members
magicians,
of the
did
Young
you do it
Magicians
as a
Club.
child? They get into it when they're children. They get a magic set, and that's what gets them into
Well,
it.
I'll tell you about the magic sets, and a friend of mine used to run Island Visual Arts, you might remember, the U2's label. When it was sold to Polygram...
Island Records.
Yeah,
I
Island
saw
Records.
the house in Chiswick the other
That's
day,
the one.
actually. Yeah.
So when it was sold to Polygram, they were allowed to carry on their video side as long as it wasn't music related. So I did the very first magic video called The Art of Magic with Andrew Eborn, because it wasn't music related. And I basically did the way you could teach people, rather than these little boxes of tricks, you actually taught them how to make the tricks and everything else. It's still out there on VHS.
It's apparently available on eBay, along with James Wales training women the whale way and bald on top. Right, let's get back. I've got a funny
Great
bit
stories.
of news here. This is, by the way, while I read this story, happy birthday to Canny Torre. Oh no, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because 25 grand payout for unwanted birthday
Quite
card.
right too.
Tax bosses will be regretting having sent what may be the most expensive birthday card in history. An employee, HM Revenue and Customs, has been awarded 25,000 of our pounds for harassment after managers sent her a card despite being told she did not celebrate her birthday. Most of the award reflected injury to Canny Torre's feelings. 25 grand for telling me it's sending me a birthday card.
Everybody listening, as a lawyer, I can tell you, everybody listening today, you should tell people 25 grand if they send you a birthday card, and that was a one card. Just imagine what you can do. King Charles, who has 2 birthdays, who knows 50 grand, you're in the money. It's got to be good.
A judge ruled that the birthday wishes amounted to unwanted conduct and that the repeated contact while on sick leave was harassment.
Yes.
The tribunal ruled that HMRC's duty of care would have been more effectively observed by complying with Torre's wishes. Yes. Torre's 10 claims of race and disability harassment and discrimination were backed by the trial. Oh, so they did it for racist reasons and discrimination.
What did the birthday card say?
25 grand in compensation, including 20 grand for injury to feelings.
What was the birthday card? A racist birthday card?
I don't know. Torre's boss kept a list of his team members' birthday, and the tribunal noted he would use it to wish them happy birthday. Sounds like a good bloke. And if it can't be, though, HMRC. Yes. And if it was a special birthday, he would arrange a card from the team. The manager said the other team leaders adopted a similar practice. This is unbelievable. Torre said that she emailed the manager to say it was very kind to note her birthday, but for personal reasons, she requested her details be removed from the list, which her boss agreed to. The judge, Adam Leith, noted that Torre had clearly explained why she wished for correspondence to be kept to a minimum. He went on to rule that the birthday card was 25 grand. Torre, a French national of African origin and a Muslim, started as a customer service consultant for HMRC's office in Croydon, South London. In 2019, she started working from home during the pandemic. She told the tribunal that several months later she had difficulty in claiming utility expenses. Oh, well, that'll come a long way, 25 grand. And said in an email to her boss that she had been discriminated against, mostly because of my foreign accent and origin. How would you know that? An HMRC spokesman, when colleagues raised concern about unacceptable behaviour, we have a robust process. But this goes to the point of, you know, they say if you say something bad, it's how it's perceived by the person. But surely it's the intent by what it means. It's not the perception.
As always, there are headlines and stories which sound really good. 25 grand for a birthday card. There is much more to it on that sort of basis. I'll tell you
what's more to it?
Well, because you were talking about the feelings that something else. If you didn't want correspondence, there are people who don't want to be celebrated. People who don't want to be reminded of birthdays.
But 25 grand.
Well, it sounds like a bargain. If I get upset, it's going to cost more than 25 grand.
More than that, yeah.
I tell you, there's a great story, however, I want to mention about Russell Brand, good old numbnuts.
You know, it's my birthday, but I've specifically said I don't want any card.
Oh, look at
I don't want a card.
What does it say? Let's have a look. Open it up. Look after that envelope. Well done. Recycled. Let's have a look.
Happy birthday, Ash. You're brilliant. I've told you not to do me. It's my birthday. I don't want to be wished happy birthday. Get my lawyer on that. Will you represent me?
I will. 110%.
I want a lot more than 25.
I'll get you much more.
That's hurt my feelings.
It's also not a very good birthday card. It's a Christmas card.
It's bloody
that
Christmas.
Is so insulting.
That's even more hurtful.
And you're not Christian. I think the whole thing is just racist.
It's got a business card inside.
No, they've done that.
They've made it worse. I can't believe it. Look, do we do a break? Because I've got to go and to the safe space. Back in.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yep, it's Talk. It's a James Wales show. My hair's all fluffed out. I got so angry. Right, Dave Turner says, I'm howling, best show I've seen on Talk for a long time. It's not all doom and gloom. Cheers, guys, Dave. Well, anyway, it's good you're thinking it. It is all doom and gloom, but it's good that you're thinking that. Anyway, let's have a look. Right, okay.
Just while you're looking, numbnuts, can I tell you this?
Give us one
Russell
of the stories,
Brand, he fell for a spoof conspiracy theory.
No, I've got to go into safe space again.
Russell Brand, he fell for a spoof conspiracy theory that claimed JFK was shot by Good Life actress Penelope Keith. You know, they're releasing all these files now and so on and so forth.
Of her about that, yeah.
And he retweeted saying it was all down to Penelope and the Good Life. How awful is that?
It makes a lot of sense now that you say that, Russell. I mean, but what was Richard Bryars anything to do with it, or the other one,
Felicity Kendall? She was one I used to love.
She was hot,
the Good
wasn't
Life.
she? Lovely. Oh, you can't say that. She was a babe, though, wasn't she?
It was a wonderful help to you through those difficult years.
And if you're too young to remember, like me, I've looked into the history books, and basically it was people who had a house and they turned it living on vegetable, which we'll all be doing soon, growing their own vegetables and goats, and a lot of people started copying it, didn't they? And
I love the idea that actually you become self-sufficient. It's not too easy in a two up, two down, somewhere difficult. But no, the reality is looking after yourself, self-preservation is great. Good cooking stuff and everything else. And that's what I used to do. And Margot, who was Penelope Keith.
Who it turns out was the person on the grassy knoll who blew Kennedy's terrible.
Well, this is the thing. But I think the trouble is people retweet things very, very quickly, and sometimes they don't always read it all the way through.
Yeah, surely, you must be a bit suspicious, like Penelope Keith.
No, he was sort of turning around and saying, no, he thought, above all, a member of an organised crime syndicate. there you go. It wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. It was the good life Penelope Keith.
Right, well, stunning. You heard it here. Well, second. Leslie in Wellingborough.
Hello, Leslie.
Morning.
Hello, Ash.
Morning.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey,
Hello.
Leslie, go for it. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about Putin.
Yes.
Right, okay, shall we?
Go on then.
Right, I feel that Putin considers Ukraine to be an annexed part of Russia.
He does.
And for safety's sake, wants them back with Russia, full stop. Be no ceasefire because of this NATO situation. I think that is why he went in there in the first place.
Yeah, well, he said that.
I mean, when the wall came down, they did promise we will not move another centimetre east, and yet they did that. And when America had the Cuban Missile Crisis in '63, that's when Kennedy did threaten them with exactly the same thing as what Putin's saying. I mean, would America allow missiles to be camped on the Canadian and Mexican border? Of course they wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, Ukraine was from 1945. It existed separately.
Looking at all the sort of history, you're absolutely right, Leslie. What would you do? What's the solution?
What? I'll step in.
Yeah,
with
Leslie,
Trump.
you are the new Prime Minister of
there.
Ukraine. What are you going to do?
Well, it's a terrible situation that he's in. I'll tell you what, he wants to, settle it, etc., doesn't he? But he's going to mess around, isn't he?
Well, the Donbass and the Crimea, Stalin made a part of Ukraine because they wanted Russian speakers in there. And recently they banned people speaking Russian, the Ukrainians. So it's all a bit, they're all a bit as bad as each other at the end of the day. And we've sort of made it black and white. Oh, they're the good guys, they're the bad guys. But what do you think is what's the end game of this?
I can't see an end game. I can see this going on, and he'll carry on striking because he don't want a ceasefire. I mean, that's ridiculous, really. You've got to have a ceasefire and talks together, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think that is where it's aiming. He's playing hardball.
Of course he is. But what he's saying, Leslie, just to be clear on this, what he's saying is that he doesn't want, during that period, to basically, I'll stop fighting you just so you can rearm. And that's what you've got to look at. A lot of people have made the point as well that Starmer, basically, he may not have an incentive for Stop This War because it's distracting people from the problems at home. And they always
incentive to keep it going.
Absolutely. They always say, if you've got nothing unites people more than a common enemy. What I love, what Trump's trying to do in a positive way is to stop the wars, because he wants to get, I predict this, he wants to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Would it be fair to give it to him if he does stop the war?
Yeah. Well, you might even get a statue like Lincoln, mightn't he?
Well, that would be good.
He has his
a golden one in Gaza is what he wants. That's his own.
Achieves it, yeah.
Well, he's already achieved the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia and Israel. He should have got it for that. He's done a damn sight more than Obama. Let's remind ourselves, Obama was the one who told Syria that will be a red line if you gas
that's
people.
Right.
And then he bottled it, spineless fool. I mean, people slag off Chamberlain and say, but actually it was Chamberlain that came with a piece of paper, but he said if you do that as war, and he declared war on Hitler. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Trump, he's come out like a ball out of a paddock here. He's signing everything, isn't he?
Yeah, but you see, what's happened there, Zelensky was a pushover, obviously he's got to do, but Putin's not going to just go, and I think he kept Trump waiting an hour with the call.
Yes.
He's been around, he's a wily character, he's been around a lot longer than Trump or anyone else, because he's a despot, and he's playing the game, and I think this is the way to, that he's negotiating. I think there will be peace, and I think Russia will probably get Crimea and Donbass, but I think, a lot of the Ukrainians, some want to carry it on, but some are saying, look, enough is enough, they've lost their whole professional army. They've lost like 500,000 men, apparently.
Terrible.
No, it's awful.
The bloodshed needs to stop. I mean, they lose in a day what we lost in the whole of the Afghan and Iraqi war. They lose that in one day, both sides. Thanks, Leslie. Right.
Thanks, Leslie.
Have you got another funny story there?
I have. There's loads of funny stories. Let's have a look. I think, here we are, Custard's last stand. Apparently, custard slices and other traditional sweet treats are being paid off.
I saw that yesterday.
By the health-mad younger generation.
They're unbelievable. They don't drink, they don't have sex, they don't don't smoke, and now custard pies.
Gen Z in their teens and 20s are snobbing sugary classics such as cream buns, chalky cake, iced fingers, and flapjacks. Never let the flapjacks down. You can't do that. Outrageous. Isn't that extraordinary? I'm not sure that's true, though, is it?
Well, what, they can't afford them. What are they eating? Jammy Dodgers?
No, they're jammy Dodgers. Others like to no, there's even more expensive than that.
Kale.
They want to slurp on Greek yogurt or gobble a handful of nuts.
Gobbling nuts and Greek yogurt.
I thought there's a carry-on line for you somewhere.
Matron.
Hey, thank you.
All right, let's look at the FT, right? And the main headline is it's £5.10 for a newspaper. £5.10.
£5.10, good heavens.
So there's a food and drink special, property special. Apparently, top-tier renting is on the rise. So a lot of the rich people are coming back over here. Apparently, they want to open the doors maybe to Russians again in the future.
Well, I think we want a world where we have peace. And I think if people can focus on that, jaw, not war, that's what we need. And I think more callers, like the brilliant callers we've had today, looking for that peace has got to be good.
Reeves lines up £10 billion of cuts in bid to plug fiscal hole left by faltering growth. But she said there'd be growth, even though she added loads of employment tax,
and we've heard people today who've started businesses but have had to stop them because of the policies. When you hear the real people, then you know what's really going on. So all the talking about stuff, as opposed to doing it, listen to the people, they can help you.
And £10 billion of cuts. I mean, as I said earlier, just our interest is £100 billion a year on the loan, and obviously interest rates have gone up. I mean, they really don't know what they're doing, and eventually things will break. And some people are saying, well, it needs to break. Because,
and you hear the brilliant people like Will phoning in with his autism and wanting to work. We should absolutely find ways of doing it. And for those who need help, and we talked about this as well, make it easier for people. And those who abuse the system, make sure they're cut out as soon as possible.
Right, have you got another one there? Alcohol decline. This is sort of linked to that other one. Alcohol declining appeal gives investors the shakes. Failing consumption has, well, basically people aren't drinking much anymore because pubs are at it, and kids now, they don't drink. They're busy watching Netflix and playing on their Tamagotchis.
The boat race rules have been criticised for ageism, apparently. A QC, or Casey as they are now, has reviewed whether Oxford and Cambridge broke age discrimination laws after several students were blocked from competing in the boat race. The Times understands basically a row over ringers.
Yeah, ringers. So these are like sort of professional people they've brought back into Oxford or Cambridge to win. It's a bit of shenanigans, isn't it? I tell you what, who was on one of the boat races? Hugh Laurie. He was one of the...
He was very good, wasn't he?
He was very good.
But you can also be tiny. You get the cocks at the back.
You get the tiny cocks. You've got the tiny cocks at the front and you've got the big ones at the back. No, because you can't have a big cocks. You're not going to have a big cock and the boat will sink down, won't it? You've got to have a tiny cocks at the back shouting. Talking of tiny cocks, Cindy. No, I shouldn't say that. Cindy in Michigan.
Cindy. Hello, Cindy.
Sorry.
Welcome back on the show.
Yeehaw! You know what? Ash, I want you to tell James something. Mr. Whale.
He's probably listening. He's probably just about getting home. But Andrew's with me. But what do you want me to tell James? What do you want me to tell James?
Well, I was trying to get on video call to see him.
What are you watching?
Oh, you're listening on the radio. So James is listening at home now.
We had so many calls, but you can watch the repeats on YouTube. But he's looking great, and we're on Twitter at Virtual Ash, at Andrew Eborn, at the James Whale. There's loads of pictures, and he's looking great, and he was great tonight.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see.
What
do you want to talk about?
No. I saw it. I was watching. Totally.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about anyway?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well.
Doing good.
What?
I love Trump. He's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
But the Republicans are giving him a hard time.
They've still got the Trump derangement syndrome. And there's loads of Tesla's showrooms and cars.
So wrong.
And all these lovies are sending their Teslas back. Actually, I think, if you do burn a Tesla, I would say that's terrorism because it's politically motivated
It is
crime.
absolutely appalling. I have Errol Musk on my show virtually every day.
What's your website, YouTube?
You can go to Octopus TV.
Sorry, my mic fell off. I was so excited.
I lost my microphone. Hang on, I can do it.
Oh, your mic fell off, not mine.
There we go. I can do it.
Sorry, Cindy, where were we? Sean's got a bit crazy.
This is what happened. Ash pulled my mic off. He wants to silence me. I won't be silenced. No, you can go to Octopus TV, the YouTube channel.
Andrew, I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you so much. So lovely to have your calls. We love when people laugh.
Thanks, Cindy. Anyway, let's go to our Daily Star scatter cushions. Just say no. Can we get one more call for the very end?
Scatter cushions.
Adrian Charles declares... Is he still around? Adrian Charles declares war on soft furnishings. I mean, James Wales thrives on these scatter cushions. He's very much into scatter. Do you do 156 to-do lists? I don't know what that means.
But how can he rip that up? It's like in the old days, people used to rip up these enormous phone books to show their strength.
He's very
Ripping
strong.
up a scatter cushion is difficult, I would have thought.
Well, he's from West Bromwich. They're quite sturdy and hard around there, aren't they? We got one last call.
Go on, then.
It's Dan in Norwich. You got a couple of minutes, Dan.
Go for it, Dan. What would you like to talk about? Dan, the man. Dan.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hi, sounds sophisticated.
Oh, very good. What would you like to talk about, Dan?
I was listening earlier on my call home, and you were
earwigging, were you? Earwigging.
You're talking about the drones over Gatwick.
Yes.
I live near two American military bases in England, RAF Mildenhall and RAF Lakenheath.
Right.
And there was also drones spotted over both of them bases.
Well, you know, when these massive drones were in America, there were reports that they were over American air bases here. Are you talking about those giant drones that are now turns out to be American military? Is that what you're talking about?
The ones that like the size of vans.
They were size. Did you see that then?
Yeah, there was like dozens of them.
Well, did you take pictures of it?
Of the bases. There's pictures on the Facebook group.
It never got reported in this country. I mean, I did see it, so it must have been reported a bit, but it didn't make that big news.
What do you think they are? What are those drones?
Well, they said, didn't they? They were working at these were American military drones.
Do you believe it?
They were massive drones, and they were connected to a helicopter above.
Yeah, you see, they're doing that now. The Russians have been doing that. They're not doing radio control because obviously then you can shut them down, but they're connected by a very long fibre optic cable, can be miles and miles and miles long. Some of them could be Russian, maybe they're not ours, and they were just saying...
Well, this is the thing. We never... We should always question everything, and the fact that you reported it, and it took a long while before things came out, I always say sunlight is the best disinfectant. We need to look...
We've already had that one.
But I would go for the double tick of the hour.
You can only tick one box.
You can tick more than one. You have a double bingo card. The reality is that, what did you do when you saw the drones? Who did you report it to?
Well, I have friends on the base who work on the base, and a couple of days after, the base actually went into a lockdown.
Okay.
And they weren't allowed to talk into it or anything. They weren't allowed to tell anyone about the drones.
Right.
But you could see them clearly, couldn't you?
And they told you?
You could see them in the sky. And
did they have flashing lights on them?
Russian lights.
Flashing.
Did they have flashing? Because in America they had the flashing lights, so they was hardly very secret.
Yeah, they were flashing in red. Yeah.
But it's really interesting. You were told not to talk about it, and you come on talkTV, which is lovely to have you on. What did your friends suggest they might be?
He said that the American base didn't have a clue what they were, and they were told to keep quiet.
But now it's all come out. I mean, they have said, because you remember Trump came in and it sort of didn't make much news.
But they didn't have a clue. I mean, that's
it was
worrying,
a test,
isn't it?
which makes sense. I mean, they're going to be testing drones, aren't they?
But not the big ones. You can get tiny drones, and they could be pinpoint precision.
Yeah.